Good after. No. Yes. Yeah. There, whoa. Whoa. Why is my mic so loud? Okay, hold on. Okay. There we go. That's more like it. I left breath control, the breath control friggin' plugin in my list, and that shit adds an eternity of latency. I was over here speaking in the past. Shit was crazy. There we go. That's more like it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Technical podcast. Glad you could join us today. It's been a hot minute. We had a couple of weeks there where we just could not get the show popping at our usual time. But here we are. We finally made it. We're back. And, given the time of year, we have gotten lucky. There was like a couple of major bits of news over the last couple of weeks, but nothing insane. But just yesterday, I think it's just yesterday. Let me get this screen over. Just yesterday, there was an interesting little tidbit of sorts that we'll be able to talk about mostly today, and then whatever else. Because I'm going to be completely honest. I literally just walked through the door about 30 minutes ago, after being at a wedding and staying the night overnight at a hotel, and I am awake, but not really. So we're gonna be on a trip today through the land of Adam's brain as he attempts to speak English. But before we get started, most important question of the week, Mr. Black, how's your week? Well, weeks in general.
Yeah, it was okay. I was in Vegas. We already talked about that in the StarCraft cast there last week.
Yes, yeah. What a gong show.
Yeah, that was a gong show. What else happened? Not too much, man. Just got the house sort of summered up. All the back deck and stuff is all done, and we did all the landscaping.
Marvelous.
Yeah,
14 metric tons of bark mulch out in the backyard now.
Yep. And outside of that, man, I've just been streaming the last week.
Beautiful.
Trying to get back into it. And
how's RP been the last couple of weeks? Any
RP.
It's RP.
It's RP, bro. It's RP. So just another week. Just another week for me. Just another week.
Is the meta different now, like, or has it settled back? Because like after every wipe, there's always like that lull early on in RP where every wipe there's everyone's figuring out what is this sequence gonna end up being like, and then sometimes it feels like everyone falls back into like habitual shit after a while.
Are we back there? Habitual. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay. So now everyone's salty about that again. It's just the way that goes, I guess. It's true. I guess like I could understand that. Like somebody asked me why when I was streaming I have Grand Theft Auto installed, and they were like, "What the fuck do you got Grand Theft Auto installed for?" And I was like, okay, well, I said I had it installed because I was considering seeing if my whitelist was still like operable from like a million years ago. Obviously it's not, but that's what it was installed for. And I was considering doing RP again. And then I quickly shot myself in the foot not shot myself. I stopped myself is what I wanted to say. Because I was like, no, I can't. I'm not built for this life. It ain't gonna, I can't do it. I would be OOC so fucking quick losing my shit. It wouldn't even, I wouldn't last 48 hours in that shit. I'd have to do something so fucking like away from anything major. Like just the most monotonous, like I'm literally cutting wood in the woods somewhere and occasionally coming in contact with the odd person, and then otherwise that'd be it. Because if my God, the stuff that you're invested in now with your characters every time, I can't, bro. My heart, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I you know what? I respect the grind on the RP side. Shit's crazy out there. It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
But my week, my last couple of weeks. We did some stuff around the house. I dug the holes for the deck footings this last couple of weeks, well, about a week ago now, I suppose, at this point. That was fun. We tried to get helical pile, but they hit bedrock, and so and nobody had a small bucket available for too long. So I think I mentioned this in StarCraft, but the short version is eventually it just meant that I had to go get the pick and shovel and start picking and shoveling. And then Dad and I cemented the posts directly to the bedrock. So this house is going to come down in a hurricane, and the deck will still be standing, and it will be fine. So we got that done. We just got the materials for the deck here in the last couple of days. They got delivered, and so I've got a couple more things to pick up, and then the guy that will be building the deck will be able to get underway, and they'll be off to the races. So that's been exciting. Looking forward to having a deck again. I want a barbecue. I'm missing a barbecue in my life. It's been a hot minute. The only barbecue we get is, we go over and spend dinner with Mom and Dad, and they're doing a barbecue. That's the closest thing because we don't have one. So that's like, the deck. It's not like there's nothing stopping me from buying the barbecue and putting it out in the backyard. But the thing is that the only way to get to that at this point, I'm either jumping out of the 2-story, like second story, to get down there, or I have to walk out the front all the way around the back. It just
I
just
gotta wait
need my
for that deck to finish up. Yeah,
got to get that deck finished up. I will say, in relation to the deck, it's funny. Just today, it's funny. This just happened. Also, just as I walked through the door, I got an email from the guy that quoted me for 22 grand. He's like, just following up, wondering if you made any decisions about that project in the backyard. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, bro, you didn't seriously expect any response after quoting for $22,000 on this deck. I was like, there's just no fucking way. But I responded to him. I said, nah, bro, no, we went with somebody else. I didn't even elaborate. It's not even worth it. I wasn't going to be like, it's because you quoted 22 grand.
I mean,
he knows. He knows damn well. Yeah. So anyway, that got done. And then, like I said, we just got back from a wedding. It was a close friend of M's. Got married yesterday, Wednesday. I thought we were going to get lucky after the, Monday, Tuesday was a heat wave. We've been getting fucking crushed by heat wave here the last few days. And I thought, okay, so maybe by Wednesday, the shit will have rolled through. We'll be fine. Nah, that shit was even hotter yesterday than it was the previous 2 days, and it was an outdoor wedding, so the ceremony was outside, and so I had my jacket and everything on, the pants, the whole 9 yards, and I looked at Em. I said, I promise you, when we get inside for that reception, this shit is coming off. I brought back up, I brought like a, basically what I'm wearing now, except it was like a powder blue, which went with the rest of what I was wearing, like the rest of my dress clothes. So I kept the dress pants and the shoes and everything, but I just got into a t-shirt that was, dressy enough to go with it because I just I was dying. I was sweating nonstop, and being inside helped a little bit, but it wasn't perfect. So many of the other guys, though, that's all it takes, right? One guy does it, and then all the other guys were looking at their wife or their significant other, said, I'm going back to the room and I'm getting out of these clothes.
Oh yeah.
Some guys came back just straight looking like they were going shopping. Like they just came back in like regular street clothes. Like that was the level of desperation people were to not sweat so damn much anymore. But it was great. It was a great wedding. They did. I mean, other than the heat, it was beautiful weather. And thankfully all the little ones that were there behaved themselves. Nobody was screaming profusely or running in circles or doing any, weird, wonderful stuff, which is impressive because many of them were toddlers. It was kind of funny, though, they had 3 different flower girls because they have a bunch of girls that are all about the same age, all in that, 2, 3, 4, old enough to walk, old enough to hold a basket with, petals in it kind of situation. And so it's supposed to be this procession of 3 flower girls. The first girl goes, and she's okay. Nobody's with her. She's okay doing her thing. But she only threw about 4 fucking petals the entire way down. Then the second girl didn't want to go at all, didn't throw a single petal, and the last girl refused to go if she didn't hold Mom's hand. And so Mom would hold her hand, walk 3 feet, let go, and then she'd scream, "Hold my hand!" And then she'd hold her hand for another 3 steps, and then let go, and then hold my hand. And so by the end of it, 3 flower girls, 3 baskets of flowers, actually 4 petals managed to get onto the ground. So not very successful from that perspective. But otherwise, it was wonderful, and it was funny though because it's obviously one half is Filipino, and of the family, and so her first name is also uncommon here, and her last name. And listening to the minister attempt, he said, I'm not even shitting you, every time he opened his mouth and said her first or last name, it was different every time. He had like 17 different pronunciations for her first and last name, and I'm just sitting there going, this guy, and he was like stuttering a bit because obviously he's starting to feel like an idiot after like the 8th time of not saying the same name twice in a row, and the parents are sitting right there staring him down like, come on, bro, you got one job, come on, man, one job. But no, it was really good. And of course, Filipino wedding, so the party was fucking bonkers. Food was everywhere. Alcohol was fucking everywhere. Everyone's dancing. The dance floor is not quiet. It's like a black wedding. Everyone, when the dance floor bumps off, everyone's dancing. So it was fun from that perspective. And
we gotta take this
it was a good
call.
time.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Go ahead. So no, it was good. It was a good night. I had a good time. It was probably the most that I have drank individually in a hot minute. But I survived. I was at least smart about it. I ate quite a bit of food ahead of time, but I hadn't seen one of Em's friends, her husband. I hadn't seen him in a hot minute. And so 5 o'clock rolled around, and we're standing at the bar, and he said, "Should we do some shots?" And I said, "Word." We hadn't even gone in at this point. We hadn't even gone in to watch the first dance yet, or the introductions even, like in the reception. We hadn't even watched the wedding party walk in yet. And I said, "Okay, fine, yeah, sure, whatever." So we did. They had What did we end up doing? He wanted tequila. Thank God they didn't have any. I hate tequila. So I got lucky there. We ended up doing shots of rum. So by the time it was all said and done at this reception, I had 3 or 4 shots of rum, 2 rye and ginger, a glass and a half of wine, and I might have snuck a beer in. I can't remember. Either way, it was fine. Lots and lots of good food to help balance it out. And lots of dancing to sweat the alcohol out at the same time. It was fun. It was a good time. Filipinos put on a hell of a fucking party, man. If you've never been to a Filipino get together, let me tell you, it's hard not to end up making friends with people at the end of that. They're such an extroverted group, to say the least. So that was a good time. And then we stayed the night there. And I didn't sleep much last night, though, and not for reasons that some people with a mind in the gutter would think. But unfortunately, you ever been to a hotel and everything seems great, and then you lay down on the bed and you realize you've made a horrible mistake? That was kind of where we were at. So the bed was okay. The bed wasn't too bad, but the pillows were normally in some hotels you get like 2 or 3. Oh, geez, this thing's gonna fall apart on me, is it? 2 or 3 different pillows typically, because you're trying to find the customer. Some might want like a lower pillow, others want like a higher pillow, whatever the fuck. And so with this one though, all the pillows were essentially the same, and they were all really high. Like they were relatively soft, but they were really high. So when you laid on them, your chin was like not fully tucked to your chest, but it was elevated, and that was for my big old melon. So M's melon not weighing as much as mine, and she was basically just sitting up in bed. Excuse me, at that point. And so it was not the most comfortable thing in the world. M ended up being fine. She was so tired it didn't matter. M was exhausted when we got to bed. So she was passed out. She was snoring inside of the first friggin' 5 seconds. But it took me forever to fall asleep. Holy shit. It took an eternity. Now, in fairness, that might have been some of the alcohol and then sugar rush. When I got back to the room, I ate 4 Oreos because I'm an adult and I'm allowed to make bad decisions. Might have had something to do with it. But nevertheless, it's okay. Eventually fell asleep. And then we had, because it's not, the celebration's not over immediately. We got together with a lot of the wedding party, and then of course other close friends of M's, and we had brunch at a Korean place. That was wonderful. The kitchen was definitely overrun though, and not ready for that number of people to walk through the door because it took forever to get our food. We had, how many people did we have? I think we had like 15 people or so walk through. Like the place just opened. Like they flipped the sign to open, and then like 15 people walked through the door, and you know, like 4 children, and the rest out adults, and so they were a bit overwhelmed. But it was good. Now here we are. We're back at it. But I know this is me filling a little bit of time. No dead air allowed here. But that's because Mr. Black, unfortunately, the phone call that he has to take, we knew going into this that he'd get it in the middle of the podcast at some point, but he's off doing that right now. So while he's gone, I'll at least talk about what else I've been up to. I'll just give you guys the lowdown as far as games are concerned. Oh my god, this thing just keeps falling apart. There we go. So I played that Riven remake. Some people will know what the Riven remake is all about, and others won't. That's the sequel to Myst. And they had announced this remake and put that out. And I finally got a chance to play it here in the last week or so. And I have a review going on for that. And Mark has already largely edited it, although I think we need some more footage probably that I'll have to do. But nevertheless, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job. My review will go into way more depth than this, but ultimately, I think I'm still going to be suggesting people play the original. Not to say that they shouldn't play the new one, but I feel like if you're going to do one first, and the old one's super cheap, start with the old one and then go on and do the remake. The remake is a really well done game. I can't speak to it in VR. I would like to eventually do it in VR. I might borrow Jeff's headset to do so, but good game, but they made a lot of changes. It was, I don't want to call it a rug pull, because I don't necessarily think it was intended to be as such. But personally, I had no idea, through all the communication that I had seen personally about the game going into launch, I had no idea how much they changed the game. In terms of not necessarily like locations or anything like that, but the puzzles themselves and what they added, I guess, for like story and whatnot. The story stuff is all really good. Like I enjoyed that they did elaborate on that stuff. But the gameplay changes that came with that, those additions, those story additions to help them actually make sense in the context of the game. I'm not as big of a fan. It was kind of like the way that I think I compared it in the review is, this is a remake closer in the sense of or in the vein of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and less like Resident Evil 2 Remake. And I think anyone that has at least seen what those two versions of remakes look like will know what I mean. So depending on what you're looking for, and clearly lots of people, and thankfully, because I love seeing Cyan have any amount of success, most people seem to be okay with the changes and be enjoying them. But I was not as big of a fan. And if you want to know more thoughts, you're just going to have to wait for the review. Either the video review, or you can read it later on criticalhit.com. Beyond that, played some Firmament, which is also a Cyan game that came out before Riven. That was their Kickstarter, another one of their Kickstarter games after the relative success of Abduction. And that one's been, the opening of that is not good. I'm gonna just say that much. The opening of Firmament is not great. I think if you're a fan of puzzle adventures in general, most of Cyan's games are always going to be, at worst, middle of the pack for most people. So it's not like the game is dog water. It's just so far in the opening has not been, it's not a great first impression. And any game's first impression is important, but in a puzzle adventure game, it's the difference between, being actually invested in what's going on outside of just walking to a room to solve a puzzle and not giving a single solitary fuck. And unfortunately, so far in Firmament, we're kind of planted in that second category. We're not really being given a lot of particularly amazing reasons to be invested in the story and in the world in general thus far. It is picking up a little bit, so the next time I play it, next time I stream, I believe I'll be jumping back into it. I'm hoping that what seems to be the beginning of the game giving me some hooks will actually come to fruition. Otherwise, other than that, I haven't been playing too much. I did get through Elden Ring as well. I'm sure lots of you guys and gals have also gone through the DLC at this point, and no review necessary for that. Do you like Elden Ring? Yes? Good. You're probably going to like the DLC. That's as complicated as it gets. Somebody asked me if I was going to do a review, and there's just no need, there's no reason. It's basically a phenomenal piece of content. It's bigger than most games as a single release, and so if you like Elden Ring, good news. You will in fact like the DLC, and you won't be likely disappointed by it, unless you're, that guy that gets upset every time somebody mentions that they used a summon or some shit. I will say at least when Elden Ring first came out, the Dark Souls community wasn't as ridiculous about this whole like setting arbitrary difficulty levels for people. Like if you didn't beat X without Y, you haven't really beaten Dark Souls. We didn't get that as much in Elden Ring, but with the DLC, there's a lot of it. There's like, did you use your Mimic? If you use your Mimic, you didn't beat the Elden Ring DLC. There's a lot of fucking gatekeeping in that shit. It drives me fucking crazy. But
did you see the thing on Twitter with that chick that was complaining that there was no pause in the game? And she said She
you mean Alana Pierce or whatever her name is, that the blonde Aussie.
Yeah.
And she the one that was, I think she was referencing an article somebody wrote about being a parent playing games or something like that. Was that what that was about?
I yes, but I don't know exactly where it all kind of started. I just saw the tweet, and then there was like a clip of her basically saying like she's got a child or something, and she's got a situational disability or something along those. I think that's what she called it.
She doesn't. Yeah, so she doesn't have a kid, but that was like So it is a bit crazy. I think, you know what I think, we can talk about that for a second, because it is a weird. And I'd never heard about. I mean, nobody ever would really have even talked about this till more recently, obviously. But, it's a really fucking. It's one of those things where, like, the way that people talk about it almost sets it up for people to be. For people on the other side that are already looking for reasons to be like, that's a stupid that's a stupid idea. Like when you call it a situational disability, when you label anything a disability that isn't, when you say disability, you have a very specific image in your mind. If you went up to somebody and asked them to describe to you what a disability is, or to give you examples of disabilities, nobody is ever going to list, I have a child running around the house and I have to make sure that they don't like run into the bathroom and start drinking bleach. Like nobody is ever going to list that as a disability. Is that something that you have to contend with? Yes. Is it you can't get up and physically walk somewhere? No. And so when you take the word disability and include it in something like that, and call it situational disability, it's not that the idea is wrong. Clearly, if you're a parent playing a video game and you're taking care of, or you have a small child and maybe they woke up from their nap and you're in the middle of something, and it is like, and everyone is always going to use, because it's an easy fucking clickbaity thing with Elden Ring or Dark Souls where there's no pause and never has been. Obviously, in that situation, would it be nice for that person to not have to, like, lose a bunch of progress because their kid just woke up and is now, like, fucking jet skiing around the house, doing whatever the fuck? Yes. But should you probably call that a disability in any way, shape, or form if you plan on winning anyone over, except for people that are just like really like they got like a hard on for having that kind of like applying that terminology to everything. Because it's like it's the reaction you had, right? You hear it and you're like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like that was 100%. You would have saw that video, and the first thing in your mind was, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Is probably what was going through your mind at the time when you saw it. She doesn't even have a kid. So Alana was talking about a video that was talking about an article that was written about situational disability and that kind of thing in regards to Elden Ring, because Elden Ring's DLC came out, which means any fucking website that writes about video games for the next 6 months are going to be coming up with everything they can possibly do to include Elden Ring in the title of a fucking article, including something like that. Funnily enough, depending on how you look at it, situational disability is apparently something that is included in the list of stuff at Microsoft for when they are building accessibility features of like their own software, like let's say within the Windows environment, for example. And so it's like it's an actual thing, like from a corporate level, apparently this actually exists with that terminology. But at the same point, we're talking about, in a corporate environment, we got to a point where we were calling going to the washroom bio breaks. So, these are not people that really, in my estimation, should be naming anything, because the moment that somebody says, if I'm in a Zoom call and we're in a meeting and somebody says, I have, bio break, I can no longer take you seriously as a human being. I'm sorry. I can't fucking I can't take you seriously. Just say you have to go use the bathroom. What are we like? What are we dancing around? Does somebody have PTSD when they think about the fact that somebody else might be taking a shit in their own home? Like, what are you even avoiding at that point? So this is, but that's the corporate environment that something like situational disability for parenthood would even become a thing. And of course, it's going to eventually, seep into everything like video games and whatnot. But I agree. I got to be honest. I don't have a kid yet. You do. But even with a kid, I don't think anyone that's ever been an adult ever has ever stopped and thought to themselves, having a child actively around that I have to take care of. They would have lots of ways to describe that situation. It is certainly a detriment compared to not having to look after a child at the time, but a disability?
You want to know what it's called?
Parenthood?
Responsibility. That's the actual word.
Situational responsibility? Is that what you're doing?
It's not even situational. It's your responsibility.
Yes.
You have a dependent. It's your responsibility.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up and take care of your child. Stop worrying about your fucking Elden Ring game. Go be a parent.
Yes.
Nobody's feeling sorry for you.
No.
This isn't a situational disability. You're a parent. It's a responsibility. Fuck off.
I've never, when I heard that term, I was like, no wonder everyone's fucking going after these people. Like, what do you expect if you name it like a disability? Honestly, if I had what I would call a legitimate disability, it would kind of be offensive to me that somebody is saying just having a child that you're taking care of while you're trying to play a video game could even use the word disability. Like, what are you saying? It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be honest. I'm not offended by somebody saying something like it's. I'm not one of these like politically correct guys that's like, oh my God, you said disability.
No. I'm just
think
thinking
of the people
like,
that are actually have a disability, like a legit disability, or a handicap, whatever. Term you want to put on it, whatever's politically correct in 2024. Don't shoot the messenger here.
Disability is safe.
It's more so the fact that they're making this an argument to have to put a pause in Elden Ring or in any video game. It's ridiculous.
If the developer doesn't want to, for their own reasons, and clearly Miyazaki has a reason why there's no pause in Elden Ring. And
yeah, but I mean, but if that's going to be the argument, is like, hey, I have a kid, and it's a situational disability.
That's a dumb argument.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Just Are you that hard up for content? Like, shut the
many
fuck
of them,
up.
Unfortunately, yes, they are that hard up for content for sure.
It's just pathetic. It's just sad, bro. It's just sad. I saw that shit and I was like, what the fuck? What happens if you need to go take a shit? I was like, is that a situational disability where I just really got to fucking go? And in this situation, if there was only a pause button, I wouldn't lose my progress in Elden Ring because I suddenly got a shit. I guess that's a disability in this situation. It's situational disability. It's not a disability, but situationally.
Yes,
I now have a disability in this situation, and yes. I really feel like there needs to be a pause. It's just like, come on, man. This is where we're at right now? This is where we're at.
It is
it's
like
crazy.
So like, because by that logic, anytime anything is happening external to you playing the game or something else that requires your attention for whatever reason, that pulls you away from it.
I guess it's situational
disability because you are disabled from being able to complete the thing that you're doing.
Somebody calls your phone, mom's calling, but I'm in this Elden Ring boss. I mean, I really wish there was a pause button because right now I have a situational disability and this ain't fair. This ain't fun. I'm going to lose all my progress. Either that or I can't answer my mom's phone call and then she's going to get mad at me. And now there's going to be a new situational disability. It's like, come on, man. I mean, Jesus. Anyway, I digress.
It is. It's more complicated than pressing the start button. You know what? I didn't sleep enough today, so I'm gonna bite on shit like this today. I'm feisty today, Mr. Black. I was talking when you were gone. I said I drank a lot of alcohol last night. I'm feisty today. I've still got liquor in my veins right now. I'm trying to. Well, actually, tangent. I had when we were doing shots of rum last night. It was a brand that I'd never had before, and it was so fucking good. And I am salty because I've been sitting here ever since we were driving home trying to remember the brand of fucking rum that we drank because I'd never seen it before. But the guy I was drinking with like knew it and had done it before, and it's like $40 a bottle, which is like fucking incredible. And I was like, Jesus, I need to know, and now I can't remember. I'm salty as fuck, so now I'm gonna have to fucking look it up. Anyway, rum is delicious. Anyway, the whole pause button and whatnot, and listen, that's not what people are saying, though. Well, yeah, it kind of is. That's actually kind of nobody. It's not. Nobody is saying if I'm taking a shit, I have a situational disability. If I need to take a shit. But it is an extrapolation of the logic behind having a child behind you that needs attention. And you have to make the call between being a parent and being able to pause your game so that you can still enjoy your video game while also having the responsibility of being an adult in that moment and being a parent. They are functionally as close to the same as far as an example is considered as you could hope to get within reason. Obviously, nobody is sitting there saying that, but it is a good example because it is something that you have to pay attention to unless you want to blow a fucking O-ring. You need to go take yourself a shit. You have the responsibility to take care of yourself, vacate your bowels, defecate a little bit, clear the old fucking pipes out.
Yeah.
And if you have to do that real bad and you're right in the middle of kicking Melania's ass, but the shit's you've been gophering the whole time. You're just prairie dogging, and you can't hold it no more because you're about to have a horrible fucking accident, sitting in your chair like you're Eric Cartman. You know, it's in this. I will only speak to this specific one because it's the one that started the whole thing. I will only speak to the one about parenthood specifically. I don't know what else this is being applied to, but if it has a term, it is being applied to a lot of different shit, clearly, because they are using it as a term to describe many different scenarios. But in this specific scenario, we're talking predominantly about things like an Elden Ring where there is no pause button by default for anyone because it was a decision by Miyazaki. That's the way he wants his game to be. And then everyone talking, using it as a talking point to leapfrog off of in terms of discussing things that are situational disabilities. Chiefly, the one that gets dredged up the most is the parent situation. Let me be as clear as humanly possible here, despite the fact that I really should open the door. It is fucking hot in this room right now. Well, maybe I should leave it closed and just sweat it out. The sweat law, Jackson, in this bitch. I need these people to fucking enter the real world for like 5 goddamn seconds. You're playing a video game. That is a luxury entertainment piece. This is like when we invented like PVR for television shows, nobody was doing it with the understanding that it was like, oh, there's a situational disability of you have children and you got to pause your fucking show. With video games, where I have a problem is, and it's I have a problem with this because they always bring up Miyazaki's games. If Miyazaki doesn't want to have a goddamn pause button, leave the man alone. Stop going after fucking Dark Souls and Elden Ring and his other games. Just leave the fucking guy alone. He clearly has a very specific design philosophy on his games, and you know what? Elden Ring, despite the fact that it literally folds people like a lawn chair, the average gamer. Stop thinking for a moment that everyone that's playing this game is a streamer that has done nothing but play video games, or like yourself, perhaps, where like gaming is your main hobby and you're just crushing games on the daily. 30 million copies of Elden Ring. Most of the people playing that game, oh my god, the amount of bots today. It was like 7 all at once. Most of the people playing Elden Ring, 30 million copies sold, are getting their shit fucking kicked and they're still buying the game. People like the game the way it is. If you have a child, just take care of your fucking child and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to turn this into a really big, long conversation, but I got to be honest. It's a very simple concept. Shut the fuck up and take care of your kid. You have a kid. Sometimes you're not going to be able to have a game cater to your every fucking life moment. And you know what? It should probably not matter that much to you, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I like you. If you are in a situation in which you are legitimately wanting there to be more ways in which a video game can somehow be altered to bend to your will so that the little life moments that you need to take responsibility for and just do at the time are less of a problem for you so that your video game can continue to be played without any issues, you have to reframe your fucking goddamn priorities. I'm sorry. I just don't understand. Like, is it annoying? Maybe a little bit? Yes.
Welcome to parenthood.
Welcome to life. What are we doing?
I mean, you decided to have a child, right? Which means your child comes before you and your desires. You have to put your children first, no matter what. And if your argument, listen, if you want to make the argument that you just want to pause in Elden Ring, sure. You can make your argument and say, hey, I would like to have a pause because it's just convenient. But if you're going to use, I think in this case, a 2 or a 3-year-old, a toddler, as an argument point, and you're going to add the term situational disability on top of that, so to make an argument that you need a pause is absolutely insane. It's insane. It's insane.
Okay.
It's wild. It's actually kind of wild. When you go to the movie theater, Adam, right?
I have yet to think to ask about pausing the movie for me.
You can't pause the movie.
I got a weak bladder, Jeff.
You got a weak bladder?
Yeah.
Hey, situational disability. You drank too much Fruitopia. Maybe the pulled pork on your pulled pork poutine was just not all that good and your ass is on fire. Maybe there's a phone call that's coming in from work and it's really important. If only you could just pause the movie. You know, it don't work like that. You know, there's a lot of traffic out there. You're late for work. If only people would just pull over to the side for you. Like you could put on your own personal sirens, you just put it on top of your car there and have that woo, 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 and have everybody kind of move to the left and to the right so that you can make your way to your destination because you're going to be late. I mean, stop the madness. Stop the madness.
The immediate discussion in chat right now. Is why it's relevant. Is why it's relevant. And this is why they're using Elden Ring and Dark Souls, by the way. When they make these articles and they have these videos, it's for this exact fucking reason. Here's the deal. Miyazaki doesn't want to have a pause button in his games thus far. That's his decision. Shut the fuck up. If you think every video game needs a pause button, that's up to you. Do MMORPGs have pause buttons when you're in the middle of a fucking raid? Or do you just have to find a quiet spot after you've gotten to a certain junction in a raid and then have everyone go, all right, guys, this is where we're taking a fucking moment. We're chilling. You know, if I get it that a pause button is a pause button, and I agree, it's whatever. But if the developer decides that they don't want to put a fucking pause button in the game because they feel for whatever reason, and it's not up to us to decide, it's their fucking video game. If they decide for whatever fucking reason that they don't want to have a pause button in the game, then there's not going to be a pause button in the game, and having a big long-winded conversation about the merits as to whether or not a pause button should be in there is a fucking stupid conversation. And it gets more stupid when you start saying, and you know it's stupid, when eventually it's, because really what the discussion is does the developer want or not want a pause button? That's where it starts and stops. The moment that somebody goes beyond that, it's because they're just not satisfied and they want to be right about something, so they start pulling in arguments from all sides to win people over. Like a fucking situational disability for having a child in the background while you're fighting fucking Radon. Like,
I don't know, be a parent. Just be a parent. Like, put the fucking video game down and get over yourself and go be a parent. Why are you even playing video games like that when you got a fucking 2-year-old? And you can't chunk out a period of time for you to go and do your thing. You know, I mean, I literally, I have no sympathy. And when it comes to, when it comes to the argument that you want it to have a pause for convenience sake, sure. I mean, if that's what you'd like to see, you can express your opinion. It doesn't mean that it's a good one. I mean, Elden Ring is specifically designed, it's part of the actual gameplay, it's part of the experience, to have that do or die type mentality with the game. It's extremely punishing, and part of the punishment is going long winds between with save places or with no break to continue that. That's part of it. That's part of the stress. That's part of the anxiety of it. That's part of going that little bit further before you died the last time and spending 15, 20 minutes to get back to you to where you were, to inevitably go, oh shit, there's still 4 more creeps in here and a boss around the corner. I got to do all this, and I got to do all this in one sitting. That is part of the experience. Elden Ring or these Dark Souls games would not be the same if you could just pause and stop whenever you want. To be able to pause and go to a YouTube video and look at which direction to go. To be able to pause and go take care of your kid. To be able to pause to take a breather, to calm down, to go grab a drink, to grab another snack. It doesn't work like that. The game isn't designed like that. The artist that made the game, the director, directed the video game specifically in this direction so that you have this type of experience. It's up to you if you want that experience or not. Right? If you don't want the experience, don't buy those games. There are tons of other games that you can play. And also on top of that, to my knowledge, at least from the last Dark Souls game that I played, can't you just hit like the home key? Ain't there other ways that you could actually just stop the video game basically from running, and then you can go back into the game? I don't know. Maybe you can't. I don't know. But ultimately, if that's the case, deal with it.
Again, it's why for me, like, it's the moment, it's not that I'm even saying whether or not I believe that a game should or shouldn't have a pause button. I'm just saying I'm not the fucking guy making the game or the girl making the game. And so you could, if they decide they don't want the damn thing, they don't want the damn thing.
Yep.
I just like, and like how many, the other dumb thing about this conversation is when somebody says, well, that's a I gotta be honest, Fox, saying, well, that's a multiplayer game. What the fuck? So we were like, what arbitrary line? So we're going to confine this as hyper-specific as possible to a single player, solely offline, no other interactability. We're going to get this down to a tiny subsection of the video game market, not even like just as small as, only that, and then like, okay, and then the argument is still, well, what does a pause button hurt? Well, the argument at that point is then why isn't there pause buttons for everything? It's because there's choices around it. It's like whether or not it wants to exist or not is up to the fucking developer.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it just kind of ends and stops there. I mean, it's an artistic direction that they decided
Elden Ring
to go.
ain't even single player, bruh! If you play it offline, it is! Otherwise, your ass is getting invaded! How are you gonna pause when somebody's in your asshole with fucking double fucking spike maces?
Hold up! Timmy just woke up! Hey!
1 sec!
Hey!
Wait!
Hold up! Hey! Hold up! Well, guess what? The dude pushing your shit in, he don't give a fuck about Timmy. He don't care. And he ain't waiting.
The argument around, well, you can already sort of pause, it's just inconveniences, whatever. Well, there are lots of idiosyncrasies about a lot of games that make parts of games trivial. And you could just use that logic every time. Like in Elden Ring, for example, if you use Steve the horse and you can hold yourself on the side of a bridge, and then you can actually just reload the screen and it loads the boss, and the boss full sends himself off the fucking bridge, and you haven't even had to swing your weapon, you kill the boss.
Dude, I'm losing brain cells. Adam, I think we should just move on, because I'm literally losing brain cells, and I'm losing faith in a couple of morons in the chat.
You might as well. You might as well just let everyone just press one button and kill the boss, because you can do it already. It's just inconvenient. Jesus H. Christ, there isn't a pause button. Get over yourself, for fuck's sakes. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody. It's not having a pause. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. This is what happens when we're in a world where we just gotta we gotta just worry about everybody's situation. Just the minorities of the minorities of the minority issues. And these, hey, listen, if there's 2 people out of 30 million that want this fucking pause button, well, this is the argument. Man, fuck off with that shit, dude. Go fucking play a different goddamn game. I remember playing Contra for the regular ass Nintendo. Man, I wish I could fucking just continue where I left off, man. Why in the hell? Why do I gotta start the game all over again? It's hard. I got shit to do. Stuff's going on. I mean, come on, guys. It's a video game, man. It's a video game. It's a video game. Stop the madness, all right? There's no pause. I gotta be honest, the biggest problem with this whole thing for me... God. What the fuck is a situational disability? Stop the madness, bro. Stop the madness. Just stop. It's called responsibility. It's called responsibility. What the fuck is a situational disability? You know, if I get bit by a snake on a fucking hike and I'm about to die due to venom, is that a situational disability at that point? Can I pause my Elden Ring if I get bitten by a snake while I'm hiking in the woods? Is it possible? It's just, I don't know, that term doesn't fucking mean anything without sounding ridiculous. Like, it's like BioBreak, you sound stupid. Stop saying that shit. You are either somebody who is actually disabled, or you are somebody that has responsibilities. Those are the 2 categories in which you exist. That's the show.
My goodness. Stop. Just,
It's fucking
my God.
nuts.
I don't even know why I brought it up. It was
I
funny as fuck.
I don't know. And none of that conversation was even fucking remotely useful to anyone. But I'm just in the mood for stupid shit at the moment. It's
All
fucking
right.
crazy. It's just, sometimes you just want to have a dumb conversation. That was about as brain rotting as you could possibly fucking get. But it's true. Well, there's one major piece of news, Mr. Black, that we can talk about. It's not really a huge in-depth conversation necessarily, not like that clearly intellectually stimulating one that we just had. But big shocker on this one. Microsoft, after having just recently announced that Call of Duty will in fact be day one Game Pass, has come out and changed up the Game Pass structure, including increasing the price and changing what portions of the Game Pass will actually get day one games. Because now we've got Call of Duty. And so now it's time to twist the knife a little bit. Get a little extra blood out of the stone, if you will. Because the numbers for Game Pass subscriptions has not been going up. They more or less flatline, which is fine, but they're not going up. Microsoft thought that they were going to have like 200 million people on this motherfucker. And it's just not the case. And so now they have we have to make more money off of this bitch. How are we going to make this work? And this is how they're going to do it. So, let me go over this because it's a little bit confusing. So I've tried to make this as, in typical Microsoft fashion. So I've tried to make this as easy as possible. Game Pass Ultimate, Mr. Black. This is all in US dollars, by the way. Going from $16.99 to $19.99. Getting a $3 bump on that monthly basis. Xbox Game Pass console tier is being replaced with Xbox Game Pass Standard. So now we're going Standard into Ultimate. Standard is $14.99. However, Standard gets some changes. It does not have day one game access, nor does it have EA Play access, Xbox Cloud Gaming. Any of the perks, quests, and discounts on the games in the library, those are all apparently being moved to Ultimate. There also seems to be some ambiguity regarding the day one release candidates on Ultimate ever making their way to Standard, meaning there could be games that are on Game Pass, but only at the Ultimate tier, even after the day one release window. Like, let's call it an arbitrary 3-month window or something like that. They're showing up day one. And then after that 3-month window, do those games become available on Standard? Microsoft's not really being real clear about that right now, which probably means no. Otherwise, they'd probably be a lot more fucking clear about that shit. But for now, they're being unclear about it. PC Game Pass is rising from $9.99 to $11.99. And finally, Xbox Game Pass Core is rising from $59.99 a year to $74.99 a year, but the monthly cost remains at $9.99. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why in the fuck are there so many goddamn tiers to this thing? Because there are. And they're segregated by platform. You got some that are Xbox specific, some that are PC specific, multiple tiers going on for both. And I think some of that is intentional because then they can just point you at Ultimate and say, you don't want to worry about that shit, just want everything? Just get Game Pass Ultimate. Then you can take that shit to Xbox, your PC, wherever the fuck. Don't worry about all these other numbers and shit, just Ultimate. Going forward, users are capped at 13 months of Game Pass pre-purchasing. This is likely to avoid people banking like 7 years worth of the fucking service at a time like they were before. People were out there on those dollar days where they were like getting a month of Game Pass for a single dollar and banking like fucking 5 years worth of the service for like $4 and change. Don't want that happening anymore, clearly. These price changes are global and regional pricing is in effect. And now I've got myself a little bit of an explainer here so I can go over what each of these even provide, because that was the price changes, specifically. So let me tell you what these new tiers are, what tiers exist now, and what those tiers actually mean to try to clear it up. Because it is a fucking absolute mess. So Game Pass Ultimate, as mentioned, $19.99 a month. That gets you access to the full library. Full is the new word being added in here. The full library of Xbox Game Pass games, You also get all the PC Game Pass games, EA Play, day one titles, online multiplayer, member deals and discounts, perks, and cloud gaming. So that's, as you would imagine in the Ultimate tier, you get that bitch, you are getting everything. That is the whole enchilada. Next is Standard, which is $14.99 a month, $5 less. That gets you access to a limited library of Xbox Game Pass games, which does not include day one titles, plus online multiplayer and member deals and discounts. This tier is coming soon and not necessarily alongside the September 12th, 2024 price hike. So all this stuff is going into effect September 12th of this year. PC Game Pass, the $11.99 tier, gets you the PC Game Pass games and EA Play. And Microsoft confirmed, this is via IGN, confirmed to IGN that day one titles will be included in that subscription. Basically, if you have a PC and you're getting Game Pass for $12 a month, you're fucking laughing. Because you're paying almost half the price, but you're still getting day one fucking titles. And so unless it's day one only on Xbox, which won't be that many titles in the grand scheme of things, that's the fucking way to go, really, if you can pull it off. And then you got Xbox Game Pass Console, which is the $10.99 a month for existing subscribers only. Limited library of Xbox games along with member deals and discounts, no longer available to purchase as a new subscriber. So that's there for those who have it. But then you have your last one, Game Pass Core, $10 a month, 25 Xbox Game Pass games, online multiplayer, and a member deals. That's basically like Xbox Live membership at that point, is what you're looking at, with some perks. This is super fucking stupid. There is so much shit going on here. You need a flow chart of all the fucking like differences between all these tiers. And you know damn well this is, I mean, look at how they have this set up. This is like some Apple level upselling. You start at $9.99 and you're like, oh yeah, but for like, you know, $2 more, here we are into this tier. And then like, oh, it's only another $1 on top of that and shit. Now we get all this. And then fuck me. I mean, for this, like, it's $5 more than that. And we get just fucking everything. So it's your typical fucking upselling nonsense. But beyond that, it's just confusing. I read that and I'm confused. I literally just read the words off the page, and if you asked me to recite any of that back and give you accurate information, I wouldn't fucking be able to do it. This shit's crazy. All I can tell you is that if you're not on Ultimate, you might as well get the PC version if you have a computer. Because it's 50% of Ultimate, and you're getting like 95% of the fucking deal for almost half the price. So, it's just so fucking stupid. But what's worse is that, of course, this is clearly what they're doing. Now that they have Call of Duty, lots of people are going to look to have Call of Duty. How can we weaponize this advantage? And this was, everyone knew this was coming. I didn't know if it was going to come immediately. I thought maybe they let that bitch ride on the first release and then come get us next year. They didn't wait for shit. They jumped right into that shit off the rip. So now the question becomes, Mr. Black, I'll throw this to you. At $20 a month, that's like $30 a month, basically, in Canada, more or less, right now. So you're looking at, what, $360 a year, Canadian, if you pay monthly, because you probably get some discounts if you're paying on a yearly basis. Are we approaching, for the average consumer, not somebody that's probably like a hardcore fucking gamer kind of situation, but are we approaching a point in which, at least at the upper end of this tier, they're pushing their limit of how expensive this can get before it's no longer the greatest deal in gaming? TM. Are we getting
I think
there?
it all depends. I think it all depends on how much you gain. Mm-hmm. I still think it's super situational, right? Because even at $20 US a month, and it'll be cheaper because you're gonna probably buy the year. Like if you're a hardcore gamer, like you're not doing this per month, right? So, you know, if it's the yearly, unless this is the actual price, no matter what. One sec here. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a hardcore gamer, I still think it's feasible. I still think it's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a casual, you definitely don't want to go for the ultimate. You're going to want to go down to like, the $9.99, or like you said, if you have PC, probably just going to go the $12 a month. It seems to be still at $12 a month. That's even US, right? That's what, maybe $16, $17 Canadian. I think it's still a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
It's still a good deal, right?
Yeah.
I think it just gets dicey at the ultimate, because when you're at about $30 Canadian a month, if you're not hardcore, I don't think it's worth it. It's kind of like the same deal with Netflix. Like, if you don't have a 4K TV and you're not like if you're not somebody that like really can appreciate picture quality, or you don't have sort of the equipment, the electronics that can really show, then you're not, you shouldn't get the top tier Netflix stuff. It's just not worth it. But if you are an avid watcher and you've got a nice setup, and this is part of your thing that you do and that you enjoy. I mean, Adam, there's not a lot of things out there. And I'm usually the type of guy that's like kind of gets upset over these gouges. And I mean, this is still, we know what they're doing. But at the same time, like, can anybody really think of a hobby that you are really passionate about, that you can spend a lot of time doing? I mean, even for, let's just not even say a teenager or maybe a young adult, like if you're in your early 20s and maybe you're not married, you don't have kids, maybe you got like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but you're not, maybe
it's still super cheap.
It's still cheap. I mean, how many things can you think of that you can go out and basically play unlimited video games for $20 a month or even $30 a month? I mean, dude, we talked about it. You can go to the movie theater and spend $100 for 3 people to go to the movie theaters to grab a popcorn and a drink. If I go eat sushi today and I go to an all-you-can-eat and it's lunchtime, before tip, it's like $31. So, you go to McDonald's and you get a fucking Big Mac meal, you're looking at $15.
That hurts me to even hear that now. Like, that's such an insane fucking concept.
It's insane.
To me. Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, well, think about it. You go to Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
You get a farmer's wrap and a coffee. It's $10.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's gone in fucking 30 seconds. It's nothing. It's I mean, when you think about it, right? Like, yeah, I think where it starts to get where the pressure points can really start happening is if you have this pass and you've got like an Ubisoft pass and a fucking Rockstar pass and a fucking, you got all these things. Now exactly. Now you're starting to feel it. But if you are solely focused on, say, a Netflix, maybe you buy HBO, like I just bought HBO for House of Dragons, right? So I'm paying an extra $21, $21.99 a month or whatever. But I also know that like I really enjoy that. That's like time every week that I get to go down and block out like Sunday night. This is what we do. Got a nice setup. To me, that's whatever. I could pirate that stuff. I could just fucking download sure, I could stream it, whatever. But it's like, hey, I enjoy it. I want to see more of it. I'll support it. I'm getting my money's worth. Maybe there's other stuff on there too that I might chuck on that I necessarily wouldn't try. To me, that's value. But if I have Amazon Prime, Netflix, HBO, Crave, or that comes together, Peacock, all these other things, but I'm only watching one show and then I don't use it for 8 months or 9 months or whatever. Yeah, now now this shit's bugging me because there's no value in there. So I really believe that this is situational. I still think that they're in a pocket where it's still the best option for an a la carte sort of subscription for video games on the market. But with that being said, ask me the same question in 3 years. $19.99 a month might be $29.99 a month, right? Could be $50 a month. Who knows, right? But I think it's okay. I'm staying far away from the $19.99 a month one though. That just seems like a whole bunch of added bullshit that you don't really need.
That's
just
only
made a
that's
paragraph
if
a
you're
little.
like that's like if you're really if you have an Xbox Series X or S and you have a PC because you're so far into the Xbox, ecosystem that you want the games that are only on the Xbox Game Pass as well. That's the only real reason to be getting into Ultimate. Otherwise, if you are only Xbox or only PC, save your money wherever the fuck you can save it.
That's it.
And just go. But it's kind of nuts to me just how much value the PC one has.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fucking like compared to what is this? Let me see. Where was the Xbox Game Pass? Because otherwise you have the standard, and standard is for the Xbox, more or less for the console side, and it doesn't have day one games, but it's $15 a month. You're paying $3 more a month for less features. It's like
that's it.
I will say this: if anyone is, because we're going into this transitional period where next year we're getting, as you would know, Mr. Black, we talked about it. For example, the next Switch is coming, and then the Pro models of the PlayStation and the Pro models of the Xbox. Like next year, you're going to be getting like that whole thing. So people are going to be thinking about, if they haven't already bought into this gen, is this the entry point? Let me just say that if you have even a monicum of ability and a little bit of patience, you get over a calendar year, at least likely over a calendar year, before the Pro models of the Xbox and the PlayStation roll around. If you took between now and then and you just kept your eyes on the market, secondary and otherwise, watched a couple of videos from high quality tech YouTubers so that you can look to know how to find a good deal, and then just built your own PC between now and then, you got a whole year for the same price as you're going to pay for a Pro model. Because I'm going to keep it a buck, bro. You're going to be paying like, the PS5. What is a PS5 in the US right now? Like in value, like in terms of cost?
I don't know. It's probably like $299, $399 maybe.
$449 right now.
Yeah, still expensive.
Pro model, I would be shocked if the Pro model is less than $649 US when it drops. And I would imagine the Xbox side will be kind of similar. Be in that pocket. Maybe $599 if they're really stretching that shit. And so you can, within reason, at $700 US, and if you're in Canada or otherwise, like the equivalent, $1,000. If you, between now and next year, just start picking parts, no rush. You don't have to have them all at once. Go find your shit. Secondary market for graphics cards. Shit like that. Cheap motherboards are fucking plentiful now that have more than enough than what you need if you're matching a console. Like if you just want to match a console and maybe even be a little bit more powerful in certain areas, you could. This is kind of like, remember when PC gaming was peak back in like, I don't know, fucking
but some people are
2010s?
just console gamers, bro. Not everybody's performance based, right? People just want consoles. They just want to play consoles.
I get that, but like if people, if people are looking at this from the, what I'm saying is like from the Xbox side, for example, specifically, and you want to just be able to get Game Pass and have this console does whatever. If I'm just saying that right now is, since the early 2010s, probably this is the most recent time in which you could actually build a system that's as powerful or more for the same money as the cost of the console. And now Microsoft is pointing at PC going, it's more important, or there's more value being dumped into the PC side than there is the Xbox console side. You're paying more money for less features for the Game Pass. So if you're in the Xbox market, what I'm saying is that if you got another year because you're not buying in until the pros, it's a thought. You just plop that in the back of your mind, and then you get all the access of all the other PC games that aren't just Xbox. But you also get the Xbox Game Pass. You get all the benefits of that side It's never been, we went through a good 7 years where there was no shot. You had to buy a console if you were under $1,000. You'd be insane to try to build a PC for under $1,000. It's not that way anymore. And so definitely something to consider if they're doing shit like this. But I agree with you. I just asked the question for the sake of conversation. Obviously, the amount of money that they're charging is still well underneath the threshold of what would be considered if you're playing more than 3 or 4 games a year at full price. This is still your value play.
Yeah.
So you're still well within. But like you said, it's interesting how the human mind works, where you could roll through a fast food joint and spend $15, and your brain don't register that the same way as when you sit down and you look at a subscription service. Even though it's a once a month payment, people do not register that the same way. They have different,
because it's a commitment. That's why, right?
Yeah,
like people view a one-night stand differently than a potential partner relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll fuck you, but I mean, I ain't trying to like date you. You know what I mean? Like these are two totally different things you're signing up for, right? So like even here, this also gives people the freedom that like maybe they are a casual as fuck. They can just go ahead and spend the $12 for 1 month or 2 months, play the shit out of whatever game they really want without even spending the $79.99 price tag, play the shit out of it and cancel the subscription and have that one night stand, right? Instead of being in a relationship and making a year-long commitment, you do that, right? It's like Disney Plus. Like, I'm married to Disney Plus. Like, we're in that relationship. It's a part of my household, right? HBO, we're just fucking for sure. Yeah. We're just fucking HBO for 2 months. That's it. Right? I'm dipping it on. It's the side piece, right? And I think if people just got to look at this like that and ask, that's why I said I think it's very situational. And, I think $11.99 a month is still really fucking good. It's still really good. And they did this shit on purpose, right? They started super small so that we can work themselves up throughout the years. We already know there's going to be a time where the PC Game Pass will be $19.99 a month, and then the Ultimate will be $29.99 a month. It's an inevitability. It will happen. But you may as well enjoy it while you have it. And, there's part of me as well that feels like they are pushing more on PC because I believe that Xbox is going to inevitably be done as a console in the future. And I think that they're just adding more value to slowly start getting their people acclimated with PC Pass. Because I'm not sure Xbox is going to be in it for the long haul, but we've already had those discussions, so we'll just see about that.
For sure. I think what I would like to see is this is too many tiers. This is dumb. I think this should be 3 tiers, and that's it. And I think you can totally do 3 tiers at this point. The fact that there's even a core that they're charging that's essentially just to be able to play games online in the year 2024 is fucking insane to me. When Xbox Live first came out on the consoles, and you and I were literally day one, like you will remember this, we played Xbox Live the first day that bitch came out. It was providing a service you couldn't really get anywhere else. It was an experience you couldn't get anywhere, and it held that for a long time. In the year 2024, that's not the case anymore. And they're finding themselves in these weird quagmires where it's like, well, do we charge people $9.99 a month to play Fortnite? Which is an online-only game. We want people playing Fortnite on our console, but we don't want to have to tell them that they have to, it's a free-to-play game on the PC, but they need to pay $9.99 a month to us to be able to play the fucking game, through our console. This is a different time now. So the fact that they're even thinking about still charging for that is fucking funny to me. I think this should probably just be 3 tiers and leave it at that. There should be some sort of base tier that is what more or less what they have within reason. If they're going to keep charging for playing online, fine. Second tier should just be standard, and it should work on the PC side and the Xbox side.
But
and
it's a marketing thing. Ultimate. It's a marketing thing, and you've already nailed. Like you've already said it early on. It's just a marketing thing. They put the least.
It's confusing.
They put the rip off for $9.99, right?
Yeah.
The
and
shit.
They just
people
push
are like,
you
what
up.
the fuck? And then they just push you up by $1 here, $1 there. And then, if you were probably to look at all of the subscription things, I would imagine that the vast majority of people are not at that $9.99. They are somewhere else, or maybe they start at $9.99, but then they just say, okay, fuck it. I'm just spend the extra $1. I'll just upgrade my thing. And they probably, every time you log in, and I don't know, but every time you log in, there's probably like, hey, upgrade just for $1. You know what I mean? Get all this extra shit. They probably do all this stuff. It is just a literal marketing ploy. That's it. They got 5 things up there, and they only need 3, maybe 2. 3 is being generous, and that's that. It's only marketing. And they start the rip-off at the very bottom, and then they pile on a bunch of value in the middle, and then they obviously make the cream up top that, you know, a bunch of people will buy just to have, but maybe only 30% actually use all of the things that, you know, it comes with. But that's just that's just how us consumers are, man.
Speaking of marketing, there's actually no segue here, but that's I'm going to say it anyway. Battle Aces, Mr. Black, you played some, and there's some games up on the channel as well for those who haven't seen it perhaps yet. Mr. Black jumped in and had been playing a little bit. He mentioned that on the podcast ages ago now. This was the last did that he was going to be able to give that a shot. Or maybe it was during the start. No, you know, it was the StarCraft cast. We talked about that. So let's talk a little bit about your experience with Battle Aces. How are you feeling about it? What was the general experience like for you at this early-ish stage? You know, they're beta, you know, late beta, probably you could call it late beta at this point. How are we feeling about Battle Aces? What was that like for you?
It was good. I mean, the first time I played it, I didn't lose a single game. It was like kind of easy. I'm like, you know, I still having fun, but I'm like, I wasn't really feeling challenged. And then I played a game a couple nights ago, and I started playing against like fucking, you know, what felt like some StarCraft pros. Like there was some, you could clearly tell. Like I just know, right? Like as a game, like I've been playing StarCraft a long time. I know the small things. I can, you know, I can just see sort of the high level things that were going on, and you don't, you know, just a casual player doesn't get this good in this short period of time. Like they come from an RTS background. And that's what made the game, in my opinion, a lot more fun. I think Battle Aces is the better game than Stormgate. I think Battle Aces is going to have some success. But I think that the success that Battle Aces is going to have is going to be a different type of success. I think that from an esports standpoint, I don't see it. Do I think that it'll be very competitive? Do I think that there might be a couple of tournaments and stuff like that that'll happen? Sure. But do I think that there'll be a large esport following, kind of like a League of Legends or a StarCraft or a Counter-Strike or Fortnite or PUBG or any of these other, you know, competitive battle royales or MOBAs or whatever? I just don't see it. Simply from how the game is played and designed. It's purely a micro game. It is, and that's, I think I come from a bias standpoint because I've always been a micro player, and I've always been an aggressive. I don't like 50-minute games, 30-minute games of StarCraft and the main reason why I don't like it is because oftentimes once you get past a certain point, you pretty much already know who's going to win and who's going to lose. And there are anomalies or situational things that can happen that can completely change a game. And that those moments are exciting and fun in longer games. But for the most part, especially when you get at a high level, you pretty much know who's going to win by a certain time. And the thing that I like about Battle Aces is it's 10 minutes. That's the show. Score as much as you can. Do as much as you can. I haven't fucked around with the deck building enough to the point where I can really critique it or give any type of suggestions or feedback of any real substance, because I actually didn't even know that you have to buy units before the game. So essentially how it works is they start you off with a basic deck, and you can bring in like 2 basically tier 1 units and then 2 tier 2 units. And then I think that there's 2 from the foundry, which is like a factory, and then 2 from your Stargate or Starport. I don't know what they call the equivalent in that game. But what's cool about it, but also I don't know if it's cool yet, is you can you can change what units you can build within the game. So very similar to deck building in, say, Hearthstone, where you're building a very specific type of deck for a very specific type of play style. So, like, I don't know Hearthstone intimately anymore. It's been a long time, but if you're going, say, grass, I guess we'll go Magic the Gathering, right? If you're going like a grass type thing, you might be weak against a fire deck, or you would be weak against a fire deck. In this, it's not necessarily cards, but they do call it a deck. But you're making a specific type of army that you're planning to use, and you want to make a specific type of synergy.
It's a version of rock paper scissors, really. You're pre-selecting, you're pre-selecting your, and then the other person's doing the same, and there's going to be, you know, because you have to make a guess, you know, when you're going up against, you know, who you're going up against, you have to make your trade-offs, right? So yeah, it's kind of like a rock paper scissors situation.
It's a little bit of a rock paper scissors situation, and I don't know if it is quite literally that, because I would imagine
no, it's not
that
literally that. No.
Yes, like I would imagine that. I'm hoping that the game is balanced in a way that it doesn't really necessarily matter what you bring in against what you're going against, that there's still a way to win. But I would imagine that since it's in beta, that there are probably some balancing issues or whatever, like, you know, you're going to lose before you even get into the game. I hope that you can win with any type of deck. No matter what type of deck you're up against, but obviously there'll be challenges no matter what, because sometimes you're just you're countered. So basically, though, what you have to do is you play the game, and then depending on if you win or if you lose, you get a certain amount of points. And with those points, I don't even know what they're called. I think the symbol's a W. I don't know what it stands for. But basically, at that point, you go into the deck builder, and then you can buy the units. So even in the beginning, all of the units are not unlocked. You have to play a bunch of the game to then unlock the units, to then buy them, to choose which units you want to bring into the game. And then, you know, you can use space when you're in the game to actually see what your opponent's deck is. And the interesting part of the game is you know everything they're doing. There's a fog of war, and you cannot actually physically see them. But when they build a base, you are prompted that your enemy is building a base, and you now see the base on the minimap. When they're building their tech, their foundries and stuff, there are audio cues that let you know what your opponent is doing. So then you know if your opponent is being greedy and going for a macro style build, or, you know, if you don't hear those things go off, then you got to think, okay, well, if they're not expanding, what are they doing? Are they going for a rush? Are they doing a cheesy? And I've ran into cheese already. Like there is a different type of thing, because in StarCraft, somebody builds an expansion, you have no idea until you scout. Here in this, they tell you, like it literally says. So it creates a different dynamic. And do I love all of the things? I don't think so from a theory standpoint, but I do like the fact that they are different. The game is very different than virtually any RTS that I've ever played. It's fast-paced. The game actually, the visuals, way better than Stormgate. Way better. The color palette, the movement of the units. To be fair, I haven't played Stormgate since December, so I'm sure that experience is better. But just from a micro standpoint, the way that the units are moving, the how responsive everything is, it's very polished. For a beta, you can still tell it's in beta, but it plays really well. I have a ton of fun playing it, and it's one of those games that you can pick up, play 3 or 4 games in a 30 minutes, and be done. Like, some of my games last 4 minutes. They don't even go the full 10 minutes. I haven't had a single game that has gone 10 minutes. Not one, right? And to be fair, I've probably played 15 games total. So, overall, I think it's got more promise than Stormgate right now. But they're two totally different RTSs. I think Stormgate is more so your Warcraft mixed with StarCraft, and this feels like it's a StarCraft game, but in like a customed StarCraft game that somebody made. And even some of the units, they have blink. It's very similar to StarCraft, and it feels very StarCraft-y in terms of movement. So it kind of speaks to me. I'm going to play more of it. I'm more excited about this game. I just can't visualize a competitive scene that is celebrated and watched by the masses yet, but I could be wrong. I don't know if they have a replay system. I don't know what that would look like. But one way or another, it is exciting. And if you like micro, then maybe there is a place for viewership to watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I watched, so obviously I watched some of what you put up, of course, and then I watched some other content. I can't remember whose videos I was watching now. It's escaping me. Just to get an idea of somebody who was casting, like trying to cast these games. Because like you, I was kind of interested, is like, all right, and we talked about this before, when you make a 10-minute maximum game time, and that the majority of the games, I would imagine, are never going to hit 10 minutes. Maybe the higher up the skill tree, the higher up the ladder you go, the more evenly matched the players might get. The more capable of making comebacks they are, perhaps the more frequently you'll hit that 10-minute window. But otherwise, I think it would not be uncommon to have an experience like you've had so far, where a lot of your games are never hitting the 10-minute mark. They're 4, they're 5, they're 7, they're whatever in there.
Yeah.
The challenge from a caster's perspective, and what I watched of the people who were attempting to do some casting, is that when a game starts and finishes inside such a tiny window, there are things about doing broadcasting for any sport, whether it's a real sport or an e-sport or otherwise, that is really hard to time compress into a window that small. And when you remove those things to save time to make it happen, it tends to be a less engaging experience for the viewer on the other end. It makes it very difficult to not just motor mouth your way the whole way through 4 minutes. Because there's so much happening, and there's no downtime. There's no air to talk about a story of a player. There's no air to talk about stylings between players. If you're casting a high-level game, and let's say in StarCraft, you get a macro player versus a micro player, or they have builds that they have pioneered that somebody else doesn't, you ain't got time in a 5-minute window to talk about a pioneered strategy in the game of one of the players currently playing. You only have time to basically pure play-by-play, damn near the whole thing. And that's what I watched, and that's what I saw happen in these videos, is that it's struggling to come up with a format that doesn't feel rushed and over-compressed for time. And so that would be my primary concern from an esport perspective, is not necessarily a competitive scene that can and probably will exist to some degree, but at in the way in which current esports happens, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. And that's the reason why. Well, that's the reason why I don't think in its current form. I shouldn't say I don't think. I just can't visualize it. I'm hoping for it. The game definitely has a lot of promise. And to be fair, I haven't watched any content on this game. Like, I just went in raw dog. So I don't know. I haven't watched what Tasteless has done, or what Artosis has done, or any of these other, Day 9 or whoever picked up this game and is trying to show it off. So maybe I'll just need to watch some stuff to see the vision. But I'm with you. The games are short. The games are intense. It's very micro intensive. It's all micro.
Well, it has to be because of the time window that you're working with, right?
Yeah. And it's like even the macro, like you have to do macro related things, but like you are microing the whole time. And it's not the same type of macro that you have. Like, you don't build workers, none of that. Like the workers just are there, or if they get killed, it takes a while and then they just kind of remorph in or whatever. So it's different. If there's no Zerg, you're not worried about creep. You're not worried about building gas. Yeah, you do have like minerals and gas type things. I don't know what they're called, but they just automatically just kind of go. So like
there's no microing your macro or anything like that because it's all the buildings go and basically like they're automated.
Well, you're not even building structures.
Yeah.
There's no supply depots. There's no, I need to build a barracks. It's like you build a foundry, but you never see the foundry. It's just like part of it's like in your core. And then the units come out of your core. And units build instantly. So it isn't like, oh, you're going to queue up a bunch of units. As soon as you have the amount of resources needed for a specific unit and you click that unit, it's instant. So then also if you make a mistake, and I've done this playing the game because I'm so used to doing things like at the speed of fucking lightning and just second nature. If I'm like spamming Q and I'm hitting Q, I might have just made 7 crabs and I can't cancel those. It's like there goes 700 resources. Like it's gone. Like it's gone. There's no Q. It's just as fast as you can spam and you have the resources, they're coming out. So, it definitely, it's different. It's different, but it's a good different. It's a good different. And before I played this game, we had a small discussion about it. And I was kind of like, oh no, this doesn't sound like 10 minutes. It doesn't sound, it works, bro. This game works. This game works.
From a game perspective, what I saw looked really solid. Like from an actual gameplay perspective. Just from a casting perspective, it seems like it will be very challenging. I don't think it's impossible. I just think that it's going to require an almost entire retooling of how you approach casting the game in order to make it work and not feel like you're just overloading the person on the other end. Because one of the big things, too, when you're casting, and this is not just us, this is anyone, any good caster always thinks about, and this is sports broadcasting or otherwise, any good broadcaster always thinks in the back of their mind, what if somebody is watching this and they've never seen this before? How can I communicate this in a way where what they're seeing on screen that makes no sense suddenly makes some level of sense to them so they can enjoy it?
Well, I think what they're going to need to do, and maybe they already done this and I don't know, but with the replay system, from an esport standpoint, if they want to make this an esport, is they're going to need to tell those stories before the game, and then they're going to have to recap things after the game. And essentially, what's going to need to happen is when the lobby happens and you're either loading into the game or you're about to load in the game, you need to be able to see their decks, and you're going to have conversations about
what they're doing.
This player is going in with a crab and we'll say stalker, a siege tank and a battle cruiser. Will they get to tier 3? But the other side here, he might struggle a little bit on the early game, but if he can get past the first 2 to 3 minutes, which is hairy, he's this type of deck is really going to start to spike in the mid half of the game. And then as we go to tier 3, this is what this individual. So you're going to have to, almost theory craft and stuff before you get into the game, and then kind of watch it play out, tell that story in the best way that you can. But I mean, dude, it's so intense that like when we're casting StarCraft and it like as we always like to say, Maximus or Mr. Black, StarCraft's actually happening. Like that shit is happening
all the time,
like the whole game. It's like, you are, there might be some small down periods where like, a battle just happened and one side's retreating and they're warping in new units and they're getting ready for round 2 and maybe somebody's now getting an expansion off the backs of whatever. There might be some talk there, but man, once they meet up, and the maps are small, dude. You're from one end to the other in about 15 seconds tops. Like 10, 15 seconds, you're there. And if the other people aren't sitting at their base and they're already out, I mean, you can move into the fog of war for 5 seconds and you're meeting units, you're fighting. And what's cool is they have hotkeys, so you can hotkey in specific army groups. You can do a hotkey for all. You can hotkey your bases. I haven't seen about locational hotkeys yet, So I don't know if they have that, but I'm sure they probably do. So you can very easily work out the micro, very similar to what you would in StarCraft. It feels that familiar, but it's also very casual. There's a very casual feel to the game as well, which is the thing that excites me the most. Is I actually think that an RTS like this can actually appeal to the masses. It's
low
can
stakes
appeal
on time. So even if you're bad, you're not committing 35 minutes to a loss.
No.
You're committing 10 minutes max to a loss.
Yeah.
And that by itself lowers the barrier of entry when people sit down and go, how am I going to spend time? I might be bad, but this is only going to be 10 minutes of my time, right?
My biggest gripe with the game is not actually the gameplay itself. It is the vocals. It's all of the audio.
There's a lot going on with that.
I mean, every 2 seconds you're hearing
just saying something.
They're saying something, and it's like it's not even a small say. They're like saying multiple words, and it's non-stop. It's just like there must be a way that you can turn off some of that stuff. I'm sure there is, but I just think they're a little egregious with the sheer amount of like vocal shit that it's like, dude, I don't need to be told every fucking 3 seconds that this I know what's going on. I appreciated it in the first couple of games, like when I didn't know what the fuck was happening. But man, after you played 10 of these games, like it's just nonstop in your ear. It's like, dude, chill out with that. So if they can bring that back a little bit, but outside of that, I'm excited for this. I'm gonna play more. In fact, I might play a few games tonight. I might just on my own just fucking play some games. I'm gonna between this and Stormgate, I'm probably gonna study this game a little bit more and try and play it a little bit more. On the off chance that this thing does kind of catch fire a little bit. And I've just been enjoying it. So that's the one for me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many reasons why this would work or is a better chance of this working in the current market versus
and it's free to play. It's gonna be free to play.
And that's an even bigger and like we've talked about before, years ago, like the only reason why StarCraft continued to survive is because they moved the multiplayer to free to play. And so you gotta understand. No, in fairness, I believe Stormgate's multiplayer portion, I believe, is also
will be free to play.
So it's
but Stormgate, I'll tell you right now, bro, Stormgate is like trying to learn StarCraft or Warcraft from scratch. It's all new stuff.
Yeah.
It's completely macro and micro based. There's more stuff on the map, just like in Warcraft, where there's buffs and fucking all this creep and all this. I mean, it's a whole full blown RTS, which means I think the casting of that game is better fitted for your standard esports stuff. I think that there's a bigger opportunity to have like a long staying power in terms of like esports. And the game really kind of molding and changing and with different expansions and units and stuff. Not saying that can't happen with Battle Aces, but Battle Aces almost feels arcadey. It almost feels like an arcade RTS that it's just like you want to sit down, you want to play, if you want to be competitive, man. The last game that I played, I got my shit kicked in. I mean, I'm like, and I'm microing well, I'm doing whatever, but this guy is hitting me from 3 different angles. I'm like, you can tell that they had specific build orders and different things, and it fired up that fucking flame in me where I'm like, ooh, motherfucker, like, oh, I got to get good, So it has that, man. It's and the great thing about it is I got my ass kicked, and I got my ass kicked in 5 minutes, and I can just jump right back into the next one. I don't have to fucking drag it out for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and go,
waiting in between.
Fuck. Exactly. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
So my last question is just for now, because I'll ask this question probably a couple times as you're playing it over the next few weeks and as this continues on to see if your opinion changes about this. Do you think 10 minutes is the right call?
Right now, yes, because I haven't even gotten to a game that went the full 10 minutes.
Right.
So I'm going to say yes. And I'll be honest too. the way that this game plays, how fast it is, I don't even know if a 15-minute game is even feasible. Like it
well,
is.
you would have to change the speed in which things happen.
Yeah, you'd have to slow down the game, right? And I think slowing down the game, like if you made it so that maybe resources were going 30% slower, you know, it's still maybe the same format.
You have to redo all the maps would have to change. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, and I just think the game would feel different. I think the thing that makes this game special is the arcade vibes of it.
Do they have this sounds weird, but do they have multiplayer in this Battle Aces?
Yes, there's 2v2s and 1v1s.
Okay, so there's 2v2s. Yeah,
yes.
So that's interesting.
And kind of like what B-Taste has said in chat is it's a comparison to Battle Aces to fighting games.
I was having the same thought.
I actually think that's a great way to describe it. I think that if you go into it, obviously the games are going to be longer than say a fighting game, because you know fighting games can, you know, you can have a best of 3 in fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but it is a very similar thing. Very high octane, very quick jump in, jump out. Yeah, the fighting game of RTSs. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I can certainly look at it that way as well. I mean, I guess I'll be very interested to see how the 2v2 thing goes, because it's so fast paced and so short and high octane. I'm wondering if 2v2 in this game, because sometimes when devs make games like this, they expect a certain mode to be the one that really takes off and is popular. I'm wondering if 2v2, because of the speed of it and how quick it is to get in and out, if 2v2s might end up being like more popular than 1v1s.
I mean, it might be. Yeah, I mean, it might be, but I still think competitively it's going to be 1v1. I think that's where the esport will be. That's where the competitiveness will be. I think a 2v2 is almost a formality. I think almost every game needs a team-based thing to get your friends to play, and so that it's not so isolating and intense. You know, just kind of blow some steam off and play with your friends, see how far you can go up. They already have a ladder. Like there's already, they don't call it Grandmaster, they call it something else, but there's already a ladder points, different rankings. I mean, they're doing all the right things, man. They're doing all the right things.
Well, they're bringing it in from StarCraft directly, so they know what they know what they need to have as a baseline for sure. So now we'll have to wait and see. I guess, you know, with Stormgate, I do feel like Battle Aces took the wind out of Stormgate sales when they announced this and had so much content ready to just put out immediately. There was no slow burn on Battle Aces. Like when they decided to announce it, they were ready to basically press the go button on a beta. And like you said, they've already got ladders are in place. Everything is set. And there has been a bit of like a move to try to make sure, I think, that people understand that Stormgate is still forging ahead and they're comfortable in their position, because they're talking a lot about having like a tournament in 2024, like a global level tournament for the game and things of that nature. So they are still pushing and they should, because I think you hit it as well as, and it's clearly obvious. These are ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, all else being equal, both of these games can totally exist at the same time and both be successful if the audience is there, because they're totally different games. Some people, I think, when they heard that, you know, that Battle Aces, before they knew exactly what the game was, and it was just concepts from that interview being discussed, like loose terms, and knowing that both teams are Blizzard, ex-Blizzard people, I think a lot of people in their mind, myself included, thought, oh, only one of these two could possibly ever come out and be like, one's going to cannibalize the other. But these are so fucking different.
Yeah.
That if the audience is there for them, they will be okay. And so both will be able to do well. And I look forward to seeing how it goes. I'm going to continue to watch, you know, some content as well. Whatever you put up, I'll probably watch here on the channel, and continue to look at some stuff. I know Tasteless is doing content, and there are a couple of others that have been grabbing replays, or however they're doing it. I'm actually not entirely sure. And I'll keep watching it and try to prepare myself, not in terms of studying the game up front, but to think about formatting how do you what seems like the successful way to be able to cast this without it just sounding like a load of dog shit?
Oh well, wait. I mean, if we figure out a way to do content for this game, assuming that there's an audience for it, like we just can't. We just gonna have to do what we do. You know what I mean?
Well, no, yes. The question, in my mind, the question will be how do we take what we do and squeeze it into that format? That will be like that's going to be a whole different ball game now. It's going to be fuck me. That'll be something interesting. But that's good. We'll leave it at that, and we'll move into a little sellout, Mr. Black.
Yeah. Patreon.com/LagTV. Head on over there. Throw money at the screen if you guys want to support us directly. Patreon is literally the thing that keeps this show going. If it did not exist, this show would not exist. I promise you that. So thank you very much for those that are even just throwing $1 at the screen. And don't feel bad if you can't afford it. I know times are tough out there. A great way to support too is to like the videos, leave a review, be part of the conversation in the comment section or even live here. Just show your support. Or you can support a sponsor. And we do have a sponsor. It is NordVPN. Guys, stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it for whatever reason, get your money back within 30 days. You can use up to 6 simultaneous devices, so you only need 1 account per household. 1 in 3 households do have a VPN, and NordVPN has been in the game for over 11 years and have been supporting us for about 4. So, these guys and gals over there at NordVPN have been supporting this podcast and my personal stream for a long time. And it's all because of you guys. When you're in the market for a VPN, you decide to go with NordVPN. And the link will be in the description of the video, or you can go to nordvpn.com/OTT. And the promo code OTT should automatically be applied once you go there. Plus, right now, if you do get a new 2-year subscription, there is a 20 gigabyte voucher that you get when for Saley, which is their new eSIM card product that they have with Saley. So it's NordVPN X Saley. They, if you guys travel and you need a phone on the go, instead of going to buy like a throwaway SIM, like a throwaway, burner phone or whatever, you can get an eSIM through Saley. It works on all mobile devices, and for whatever reason, if it doesn't work, they will refund your money back, no questions asked. It's a great way. It's safer. It's faster. You just got to download it once, and it's done. You don't need to have multiple devices, and you can use it anywhere at any time. And if you get that 2-year subscription, they're going to set you off with 20 free gigs as a little bonus, plus all of the extra stuff that you normally get. The 4 extra months of NordVPN added on there when you use our link. And not only that, guys, hey, it's all about staying safe out there, all right? It's a wild world out there, guys. It's a wild world, all right? Think about, these websites that are tracking your stuff. Bypass all that with NordVPN. And if you guys already have a membership with NordVPN or a subscription, you can still go ahead and get the Saley product as well. You just need to go to their website, go check it out, and you can always add that on at any time. So go and check them out. They're a big supporter of us, and we appreciate everybody that has been picking it up. And it's less than, a cup of coffee a month. Half a cup of coffee if you're going to Starbucks. It's expensive over there. So for a couple bucks a month, man, you can stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet, and, unlock parts of the internet that may be region blocked in your area. You can do that. It's a free world. That's it. That's all I got.
Boom. And now it's time for
movies and TV.
I have absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, we did get it. We did get a trailer for Gladiator 2. Did you see that?
Oh, true. I didn't see the trailer. I just saw the screens. I haven't seen the trailer. I didn't even know there was a trailer out. I probably because I was at the wedding at the time. But how are we feeling as somebody you were a pretty big fan of the original?
one of my favorite movies where I got the name Maximus from.
Exactly. So how are we feeling about this one?
I'm feeling good.
Really?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
I'm feeling really good. Denzel looks like he is eating it up. It looks like he's like basically the main character. I know there is a main character, which I think is Maximus's son. But Denzel is basically he's sort of the guy that gets him to go and do his bidding. It looks great. I thought the music choice they used in the trailer was pretty shit. I wish they would have went with they did the generic like hip hop Jay-Z, Frank Ocean. What a king to a god. Yeah, you know what I mean? I wish they would have just went with like the Enya, like just take us back to that fucking, cinematic, big emotional score. Like the fucking
hip-hop
Enya
is popular. You gotta,
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have we seen this, that same
video
type
games,
of song used? I know.
Fucking
it's
like,
come on,
slow
guys.
down with the gunshots on the bass lines. Like, they've been doing it forever.
They missed the mark, man, when it came to the music. I really wanted the trailer to start off with just like some Enya. Like, even if they use the same fucking soundtrack from back in the day, it just works so much better for like this Roman fucking but you know what? It looks fire. So I am so ready for it. My body is ready. Outside of that, I did finish Fallout. So we watched that show.
Yes, right, yeah.
I'm gonna bump it up to an 8.5. So that's
okay.
It ain't getting any
it was
further
a strong,
than that.
It was a strong finish for you then, obviously.
I thought the finish was stronger than the middle. I thought the middle of the show dragged a little bit in terms of like I felt like not enough was being done. It was like I was okay to be in the world, but like it just
More
felt like I
needed to
was
be happening?
watching. Yeah, it felt like it was almost like that last season of Mandalorian that I watched, and I didn't watch the last season, or maybe I did. I don't remember, but there was maybe it was the second season of Mandalorian where it was like pretty much enjoyed all the episodes, but a lot of the episodes were just felt like filler. It just felt like
because no stakes were in any episode. Like every episode, like nothing of input. You could remove all of them and then just skip ahead to the end. And you could have like 3 episodes of the whole season, and it would have been the exact same outcome.
I felt very similar for Fallout as Mandalorian in terms of enjoyment, but I think towards the end, when some of the things that I thought I was predicting wasn't actually it, but then there were some things that I totally predicted that were happening, and I didn't really remember the beginning games from back in the day, so I wasn't like I kind of knew a lot of the lore, but I didn't know exactly the why and how and what it all meant for the vaults. Some things I predicted, but the things I didn't predict, I actually thought was interesting. And the way that the show ended, I felt like it did what it needed to do. But I will say this, although I am bumping it, I think from an 8 to an 8.5, or maybe I was at 7.5. If I never got another season of Fallout, I wouldn't give a fuck. Like, it's one of those shows that, like, I know we'll get another season and I will watch it. But if another season just did not happen, I feel like they did enough where I'd be okay with that. I'm not particularly like super excited for the next season. I didn't end go, man, I wish there was more episodes. I was kind of happy it was done. I was happy that it was 8 episodes and not 10, that they didn't drag it on. But I feel like I got what I needed to get out of the show. So I watched that. There was something else we watched too. Oh, House of Dragons. Have you been watching that?
No.
Yeah. So no, you didn't watch it?
I like how your brain just is like, he's going to say yes. And so you just went, yeah. So, and then wait a minute, pause. He said no. No, we haven't been. I haven't been ordering HBO. I mean, M's not that invested in it.
Bro.
And
Fire.
So like I'll eventually we'll probably watch it, but we're not
Fire.
like
Did you watch the first season?
Oh yeah, we watched the first season. Yeah. We saw the first season.
Pretty fucking good.
I mean, I gotta keep. I think I said this before. Is as much as I can appreciate Game of Thrones and the writing, and they often have phenomenal actors. Like the guy who plays her, is it her uncle technically or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, Damien or whatever his name is.
Yeah. So like, I mean,
Damon.
he's an 11 out of 10 actor to begin with. So that was like that was a phone in for him to crush this with he's getting a good actor getting fed good lines. This is just like, this is easy street for that.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many more times I need to see who I understand to be like a teenage girl getting railed by a family member or some other dude in a TV show. I just don't know how many more times I need to be bearing witness to that shit, because I like, just tell me it's happening. I don't need to see it happening on screen. It's just fucking weird to me. It's like, there's like entire threads of people discussing the most unnecessary sex scenes in movie history and how many there seems to be, where it like almost comes down to the fact that like it was just the director wanted to see some chick naked. Like there's the only reason that anyone could feasibly come up with why it was in the film. At some point with Game of Thrones, after watching the actual Game of Thrones and the whole the shtick with Jaime and Cersei and everything else, at some point it's like how much incest and child sex needs to be involved in this on screen before
I don't mind it, like, and I mean that in the uncreepiest way possible.
Yeah, I
think
understand what you mean.
Yeah, and I think it's because, and I'll tell you right now, like, I think the first 4 episodes are out. Watch the first 4 episodes. Is there sex?
They got an awful lot of that out in the first season, so maybe they don't need any in the second season.
Yeah, there might have been. I mean, there's definitely there was sex. There is sex, and there's dick. There is like a full blown blowjob that you see somebody just getting fucking a close up too, just tips getting blown.
Lovely.
There's sex, but it's like it's like in a brothel. So like you see,
is it close ups to characters that are not main characters, and it's
correct.
so close, close up that you can't even see the face. It's just a mouth sucking a penis.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Like, why? Like, no, but that doesn't need to be there. Like, that's just the director watching somebody getting their dick sucked. There's no other reason for that to be there. Like, you're in a brothel. Oh, I wonder if somebody's getting their dick sucked. Well, as it turns out, yes. Here it is, up close on your 65-inch OLED, so you can see every pore on his fucking cock and balls. Like, nobody needs to see that shit.
Yeah. But I'll say this. I think why it works is because you gotta think too. Like if you were living in that time, this is sort of the shit that would happen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that happens now. I could go down to like fucking. You could go to Montreal and you could watch a dude get his dick sucked in the champagne room. Like you don't need to like. It's not like it's not happening now.
Yes, I get it, but it's different, right? It's not modern. It's older. Things were a bit more
medieval
rough.
Head.
It is. It is, bro. It is. It is, man.
Old blowjob.
So
blowjob happened once upon a time.
There's definitely less sex and less nudity as a whole, but I'm sure that'll pick up.
Probably,
but no, show's fire. The show is good.
Although
the
writing, first season writing was still the great. It was reminiscent of kind of this. Well, what seasons would it be? Like maybe seasons 3, 4 in Game of Thrones, where it was a lot more political intrigue, a lot more writing, a lot of two characters standing in a room verbally jousting with one another. So there's a lot of that. It was a lot of that, and so I enjoyed it from that perspective. But like, kind of like you with Fallout, after I watched that season, I was just like, okay, could I watch more of this? Yes. Do I need to see it the moment it arrives? Not really. No. I'll probably just wait until it's all out, and then I'll find the time to sit down, and Em and I will watch it through. And you're right, it's probably really fucking good.
It's good.
But it's just not like it.
But what makes it like it's good, but it's more of the same. So like, there's no real ground being broken. They're not really switching up the formula. It is exactly what you think it is, but it doesn't disappoint, right? And at the end of the day, that is what it is. If you go to your favorite sushi restaurant, you're gonna get your favorite sushi. It's not like you're going to go in there and they're going to fuck your order up. They know they know what you want and they're delivering. And that's what House of Dragons has been doing. It's pretty fucking good. It's a pretty fucking good show. And it's one of those shows that like every Sunday I'm going to be down there when it comes out and be watching it right on the fly. It's that good. It's that fucking good.
Yeah, we'll definitely eventually get around to watching. I'll talk about it when we do watch it, and I'll describe in great detail as much as possible the head of that man's penis when the time comes.
You don't actually see the head because the mouth is on it the whole time.
Oh,
but you do see the shaft and the base.
Oh, she's not even letting that shit breathe. She's just down there.
Oh yeah, she's down there. She's down there, and it's a close up. Yeah.
Did they now question? Question: how did they stick to time accuracy? So this dude has not shaved in months, so he's just full jungle, or is this like a why am I watching something that's technically medieval, but this man has a well-groomed penis?
You know what? I did not take notice of his. I want to say there was hair, but I can't really remember. Yeah,
probably not as much as it should be.
I think, and I also think that the penis was fake. Like I don't think somebody's really getting. They
almost
off.
always are. When a dude's walking around, fucking naked, it's usually a prosthetic.
Well,
dick.
there was one of the main characters. He was naked. That looked like a pretty real dick. But yeah. Kayla was like, I was like, wow, this is just swinging dick, and she's like, it ain't all that swinging. I was like, girl, you're blessed. Come on,
oh my God, swinging, the dick swing. It's more like a bounce. Swinging. It's more like a bounce. Yeah. It's not really a swing, just bouncing.
The dick was just sitting on the balls. That's just she was just sitting there.
And the older you get, the more likely your dick is just sitting on your balls because your balls are running for the ground. So at some point you lose that battle. It's just it's kind of it comes for us all. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything else that Em and I have necessarily caught. I don't think there's been anything going on in that neck of the woods. There's not even a lot like I'm like sitting here getting excited about, really. I do, like we've mentioned it several times, I am excited to go see Interstellar again in theaters, but like beyond that, I'm just, and I'm more excited about that because Em never saw it in IMAX. So she's never experienced that shit. So I'm excited for her, even though she's probably honestly not going to give a fuck. But I'm still going to be excited for her. I'll be that guy that every time something happens, I'll be looking over at her to like gauge her whether or not she's enjoying it. I'm probably going to come out of there disappointed as fuck because she's probably just going to be like, so whatever about it. I'm going to be like,
oh, well, you're going to enjoy it though. That's the main thing.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of it for sure.
Yeah, I'll be going to that too, for sure.
Beyond that, shit, not a hell of a lot, honestly. So we'll wait and see for some more things to come out. Although, wait, there was something movie related. Oh, they announced the definitely necessary Shrek 5.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
At least they're coming back. They got Cameron Diaz and Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy, so at least they got that far. I don't know if they're getting, Banderas. I don't know if he's back for Puss in Boots, but Puss in Boots is on the fucking poster, so my assumption would be
they'll get the whole fucking crew together.
Because really, what else is Antonio Banderas doing right now?
Probably fucking bitches, probably.
He is Antonio Banderas.
I mean, he is.
His name alone. Even if he wasn't famous.
He's got a sexy name, period.
The name by itself does a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, you want to go meet my friend? I got a single friend you can meet. You're like, oh, I don't know his name. What's his name? Antonio Banderas. What? I'm in.
It's not Chris?
It's not Chris.
No. It's Antonio Banderas. Damn. Antonio Banderas.
10 out of 10. All right, well, if that's the case, it's time for us to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTV is the place to go if you want to financially support the podcast. $5 or more a month gets you a few perks, but chiefly, you can ask us some questions here on the podcast. I put up a post every time before the podcast goes live called Tech Support on Patreon, and you ask us your questions there, and we give you as many answers as we can in the time that we have. And every week I will complain about how fucking impossible the Patreon app is to fucking navigate, and whoever is their UI designer should probably be flipping burgers instead. There we go. We got there. Oh boy. Josh asks, would you rather try to survive World War Z Zombie Island or Jurassic Park Island? You got 24 hours. 24 hours to survive.
24 hours to survive?
24 hours.
So World War Z zombies. So the ones that are running in are fucking wild.
Or Jurassic Park Island.
Jurassic Park.
I feel like if you at least know the zones of Jurassic Park Island, you can at least do your best to avoid the real down bad, situations that you'd be in.
And not only that is if you inevitably do get caught and fucked on, you're going to die very quickly with a dinosaur, and it's going to be a bad time for a zombie, and then you're going to turn into a zombie, and then you're going to be trapped there for eternity doing dumb zombie shit. Yeah, I'd rather just either get eaten by T-Rex or fucking, whatever other dinosaur, or just hide out for as long as humanly possible and then get the fuck out of there. Now, if there are slow-ass, like, Walking Dead zombies, I would take the Walking Dead zombies because you just outrun them bitches. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you literally just outrun them.
You have to try to get killed by a Walking Dead zombie. Yeah. Like, you have to put effort in.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know if you can answer this necessarily, but you talked about the second part of this anyway. But the Jubinator asks, Jeff, have you decided what your Stormgate unit nickname is going to be yet? That was part of, I believe, the package that you bought into. Yeah. Did you get notified to make that call?
I didn't get notified yet. And I don't know a name yet. I have to see the unit. That's the problem.
Yes, right? True.
Like, I can't just give a name.
Yeah.
And then just give that to whatever. I need to see the unit and then come up with a name. So the moment that I see the unit, what I'll do is I'll have 3 names.
Okay? Antonio Banderas.
And then I'll do a vote. I'll do a vote after that. And then we'll let Leg TV decide between the 3.
Bantonio Banderas.
There you go.
Let's see. Volkus asks, we might be able to come up with this because we used to stop to get one whenever we went to Indian Lake. Favorite flavor of slushy? We used to get those big stop.
I'm gonna go with blue. I'm gonna go with blue raspberry.
Yeah,
blue raspberry.
Man. It depends on the day. Sometimes I just want to fucks with like a really plain Jane fruit punch red kind of a situation. Like I always hover between 3, and it's always depending on the day. Sometimes it's as you get your mouth wants a certain fucking flavor. Sometimes it's great. I want the purple stuff. Give me some of that purple stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want orange. You just want some of the orange stuff. And then look like you fucking blew several carrots for the next, 5 days. After you're done, your mouth is completely orange.
Sometimes you want to do all
like
3.
A mix.
And you want to layer it.
You can do that shit.
100% can do that. In fact, the majority of the time when I get slushies, I go half and half. I'll go half red, half blue.
Mark brought this up. I was literally about to say this before I looked over. Do you ever fucks with the green apple?
I could never drink a full green apple.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much. But what I can do, and what I've done is I'll put like a little 20% green apple on the top. So I'll have like the majority of the other stuff, and then at the top, get that little green apple in there. And then sometimes I'll just take the straw all the way up, suck on that little bad boy, get just a green apple, and then as it comes
back
down, then I just go back down, I swirl it up, get them all mixed, boom. We're in. But I can never drink a whole green apple. It's too sweet.
Thinking about, at this point, every now and then, it's not like I've ever counted calories in my life, but just I've yet to look it up. I wonder how many in the size of the ones that we get. What the
probably
sugar count?
900.
The sugar count in that.
It's a lot. I am at that age now where I don't count calories.
But you're like more aware of what you're eating.
But I'm super aware now, where I'm I already ate this, and this.
Yeah,
I should probably not eat this.
Yeah,
and then I usually still eat that. But you know,
but the thought is there.
The thought is there. The thought is there, and it is to the point too where I do look at the calorie intake when I'm at like a restaurant or something, like more so fast food.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll make an executive decision to not go with the higher calorie count and go with the lower.
100%.
But yeah, because 100%. my thing is, bro, it's like I've been working out for over a year now consistently. Like I'm probably in the best shape of my life in terms of like muscle mass and just like my body isn't as sore as it usually is. Like I can feel the difference, right? And I can see the difference, but I still eat whatever the fuck I want, and I'm still kind of like fat, but I'm not at the same time.
Listen, bro,
and I'm just old. Yeah, exactly. I'm at that stage where it's like, okay, yeah, he works out, but like I'm also not afraid to eat cookies at 10 p.m. in bed. Like I'm that guy.
That's the way to go, bro.
Yeah,
like
it's where I'm at.
I'm not. For a very short period of my life, I was interested in being shredded out of my fucking mind.
Oh hell no.
That is long. At this point, right now, I want to lose. I can't lose too much because I've already got my suit cut for the wedding. So I can't just like in the next 6 weeks just go ham chicken, fucking cut all the calories out and start, plowing my weight down. I want to lose about 10 pounds of fat and replace half of that with muscle. And I'd be comfortable there. I know I've been overindulging, and more specifically, it's not even the overindulgent part, it's the amount of activity is not there. If the activity was there, what I'm eating probably wouldn't be a fucking problem. The problem is my ass ain't fucking moving. And so that's a problem now. And so, but when it comes to like being shredded out of my mind, I can't do it, I can't. I want to enjoy life a little bit. So when I sit there, I don't want to be sitting there going, oh, I'm going to beat myself up for the next 3 days because I decided to have something that's got a high calorie count in it. It's just about not doing that every fucking godforsaken day, and you'll be okay. That's people got fucked up on social media, bro. Like Emma's like this too, because she spends, women get it bad too. And she'll be looking at herself, and one day she's happy with how she's built. The next day it's like fucking, oh my God, my shoulders are too big. I don't look like a woman. And then the next day after that, it's like, oh, I love how my arms are looking today. And then like it's fucking all over the place. And like, is my face looking fat? And I'm like, you literally weigh 4.5 pounds. What are you talking about? There's nothing left to remove from your face. That's just your face at this point. But like people on social media are just like, they're looking at people who are literally just on like 15
they're looking at
doses of
filters
Ozempic.
Too, bro. Yeah, they're looking at filters, bro. Like
steroids.
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of juice floating around on social media right now. They got kids out here. Dude, you probably don't watch very much fitness stuff on YouTube, but
they're all juiced out, bro. They're all juiced.
But there was a guy that went. Oh, what's his name? Oh fuck, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he's actually really good. He went around to random gyms. So super cheap gyms, super expensive gyms, and talked to a bunch of people in each one, especially the younger crowd, and asked if they were on juice or if they would ever consider taking steroids. And so many of these like young kids who were like 17, 18 years old were going, yeah, I'm thinking about doing steroids. I'm thinking because I want to get to this level, or I somebody I saw online is taking steroids and shit. And like, Jesus fucking Christ. There was one kid who is 19 who is all natural at the time, and he has like phenomenal genetics and looks strong as fuck. Like he did not look 19. He looked like a 24-year-old man that had like, cause he's got good genetics for it. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing steroids. And I was like, you got to stop the madness, bro. This shit's gone too far.
Yeah. I mean, it's the pressure of it, right? I mean, it's even being in the gym, I've got a trainer, There's a circle of people that I speak to, and what you see in the gym, and it's like, I know if I got on the juice, I'd be big. I'd get big, probably really big, but it fucked my whole body up, bro. Like it would fuck everything up. and then I'd get addicted to like that look. And then that's every person that I spoke to that's on juice, and I know people that are on like juice now, and they're like, bro, they're like, I feel great, like in terms of like
especially if they're
testosterone's
on like
up.
TRT,
a lot of the guys, and I'll go and get my testosterone tested when I'm like 40. I'm not too far off there,
bro. You don't need to worry about your fucking testosterone level.
My test level feels fine. I'm getting results, like I'm getting them slowly, but I'm getting results. And I also know if I really want to get in better shape, I just got to clean my diet up big time. If I clean my diet up big time, the vast majority of the look that I would want, I could get. The thing is I like you said, I like enjoying life. And enjoying life for me at this point is enjoying food, comfort food, chilling out.
And not giving yourself a heart attack by 50 because you juiced up for a short amount of gains.
That too. So yeah, I have no interest in it. I barely take any supplements. I take BCAAs.
Yep.
I take
creatine or something, maybe
a small amount of creatine. It's literally one thing,
5 grams.
5 grams, and I only take it on the days I work out, and I have protein, and I don't even have protein every day. It depends on how much protein I'm just eating naturally. If I feel like, oh man, I barely ate food today, I'll just go and like, make a shake that has like 30, 40 grams protein in it. But outside of that, that's it, bro. That's the show. That should be
like basically everyone at this point. That's basically it. You can do, if you feel like you need to have pre-workout to get going, do it. If you can do it without, probably better. And then it's creatine. All research points towards 5 grams of creatine, 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily. Whether you're exercising or not, you will eventually max out your creatine stores over the course of a couple weeks. And then all it does is it's holding water in your muscles, which is what it's allowing you to push a little harder in the gym, and you will gain a few percent. You'll gain muscle several percentage points faster. Yeah, and that's about the show. Yeah. That's fine. You do have to drink more water when you're taking creatine. Yeah. Otherwise, it's fine. Okay. And then protein powder when, like, if you're supplementing. That's the thing is it's a supplement. It's in the name. Yeah. A lot of people are not using it as a supplement. They're literally living on liquid calories. Just inhaling. I'm seeing dudes dry shotting fucking protein powder. I'm just like, what are you? This ain't the cinnamon challenge, bro. Put the fucking scoop down.
They call that the dry scoop, man. It's the dry scoop. Literally, in the gym, you'll see people with the pre-workout. They'll just dry scoop the pre-workout. They'll just take it, put it in there.
Yeah, just dry scoop it.
I'm like, damn, bro.
Why? Just put in some water. What the fuck is wrong with you? This shit's crazy. Agent said, not a question, but a comment. I was driving through downtown listening to the last podcast, and I noticed something glaring at me from the car next to me, or someone glaring at the car at me from the car next to me. Then it occurred to me that I was driving next to that guy for like 10 minutes with the open windows, chuckling at the big black dick discussion. I guess he was a little confused and shocked, to say the least. Probably. That was talking about Big Mike's penis, I believe.
Yeah.
Now he knows about the legend of Big Mike.
It's a big black dick. It's a big black dick.
It's a big black dick. Would not need a prosthetic for Game of Thrones. Unnecessary.
No.
Zonix, have you ever been to the Calgary Stampede? No. I think Dad did, though, when he was visiting his sister for a while, because they were in Calgary for a while.
I don't think it's a black person thing either. I want to, I think every picture that I've ever seen of the Calgary Stampede.
Well, it's very white, but there are a fair amount of black people. But it's clearly majority. Yeah. It's, it's the way it is. It's like going to a Cat Williams fucking stand-up and expecting a whole bunch of white people to be there. There's some. It's not that many. It's just a couple. David, which instrumental-only genre of music is your favorite? That is really hyper-specific. I don't know if I have a genre, but I mean, jazz, yeah.
Jazz, for sure. Went to a really nice jazz bar in Montreal there. Last time I was there, 2 or 3 months ago? 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Fire.
Dope.
Just sitting down, having a drink,
and just
having
listening
a
to
good
jazz
conversation
music.
and listening to jazz, bro.
Good times.
It's one of the best times. I'd far prefer that than be in a club or be in a bar listening to radio music. Like listening to real musicians that are on stage live and they are just playing with their soul. There's just something about that is, and it's a different crowd. Like when I was in there, there's no teenagers. There's no, it's just
for obvious reasons.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I'd be similar. You know, it's jazz. I don't mind classical. I just don't listen to classical, freely. But I like lo-fi hip hop as well, whether it has lyrics or doesn't. I'm into that. But jazz is nice. I'm more into like old school jazz than I am new jazz, where what they would call like experimental jazz gets a little fucking weird. And a little busy, like they're just doing shit for the sake of doing it, and like it sounds okay, but it's I like a more structured jazz kind of a situation. The Big H asks, have you heard about the limited edition cup noodle flavor campfire s'mores? I'm sorry, what? That should probably not exist. I just say that right now.
It sounds horrible.
It sounds horrible. What's the most odd, unusual, and or disgusting flavor you've encountered with any brand of like a drink, snack, food, quick meal, etc., either local or international? So like a weird, there's a lot of that kind of chip flavors have gotten crazy, bro.
Yeah, they've gotten crazy. I think the nastiest thing that I've ever fucking had flavor-wise is Dr. Pepper. All right, I fucking hate Dr. Pepper.
Which is crazy,
so damn much.
Dude, Dr. Pepper's on the rise. It's
one
like
of the
number
biggest,
3 now.
It's like one of the biggest drinks on the planet.
Yeah,
and I hate it. Hate it. I hate.
Did you hate it before, or was that only after Rhode Island?
I think I disliked it before Rhode Island, but I hated it after it. Because I remember even going in there when they were giving it out. I'm like, ugh, I don't like Dr. Pepper. Like, it's just ugh. And then by the time I was done, I was like, and I haven't drank it since. I haven't touched
neither
it
have
since.
I. Neither have I.
And never will.
No, I didn't hate it going in. I was just indifferent. But I definitely left Rhode Island absolutely hating Dr. Pepper.
That's going to trigger some people too, because there's probably some Dr. Pepper lovers listening to this right now.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily think Dr. Pepper's a horrible flavor. I used to really like it when I was a kid. It's just like after Rhode Island, bro, that shit fucked me up. I was like, that was a bad time. That was a bad time. As far as like other weird flavors, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I could name them off the top of my head, but there's a lot of weird chip flavors. I will say 90% of the hipster IPA beer market should probably be sent into the sun, and whoever crafted them should go with them into the sun.
A lot of it's bad. It tastes like piss. Like sour piss.
Why are you putting blueberries in an IPA? Stop. What are you doing?
It's artsy, Adam. It's artsy. That's why.
Just stick to curling your fucking mustache. For fuck's sake. Tending to your cap and suspenders. Stop putting blueberries in IPAs. Roran, welcome back, boys. You said, thank you, Roran. Questions for you both. What's your guilty pleasure song and guilty pleasure movie?
Say that one more time. Guilty pleasure movie and what?
And song.
Guilty pleasure movie. Just trying to think of a movie that is kind of shit, but I like it. And then I watch. I mean, song-wise, dude, anything that's like 90s pop is just a guilty pleasure. We're talking, I'm not even talking about like famous Backstreet Boys or NSYNC songs. I'm talking like some like bottom of the barrel, like B44, like man,
if you get down on me, I'll get down
like
on
that
you.
Shit. Like that's like guilty pleasure music right there, and I love it.
Yeah,
S Club 7, like a lot of these older, poppy. But movie wise, I'll go with. I mean, I do like some really bad old horror movies. Like I like a lot of
bad
the
horror movies in general. The worse it is, the more I enjoy it. There's two types of horror movies for me: dog shit that becomes comedy, and god tier. Everything that's in between, is just dead to me. Don't give me mediocre.
I'm the same way. I'd say like really bad old like 80s horror films that are like just bad. I mean, we're talking like Evil Dead. Even though that's like a cult classic, I think a lot of people love that movie now. But
like that era,
Night of the Living Dead, like those old George R. No, not George R. George R. Romero. Like a lot of those old ones, those are guilty pleasure movies. Same with like old action films that are just like really fucking bad, like just bad movies. But like we know what we're getting. Romero, we know what we're getting, and I just love those. Yeah, and I would just say like shitty, not even shitty. I like it. I like the old pop music. It reminds me of being a teenager again.
Yeah, I think we're in similar places for both. I'm trying to think of like more specific movies. You know what? Depending on who you're talking to, these are either cinema or otherwise. Remember the Ernest movies?
Of course.
Ernest P. Worrell. You know what I'm saying, Vern? 100%. The Ernest movies. All right. God bless that man. That man was a classically trained actor. There was shit at him doing like reciting a fucking like Shakespeare. And it's legit. You're like, Jesus, this is the man that played Ernest. Those are definitely 100%. Because if you showed that to somebody that had didn't grow up with it, they'd probably be like, "What in the actual fuck am I watching right now?" It's probably that. The Room is another one. Tommy Wiseau is completely insane, and I kind of love it. If you looked up the word enigmatic in the dictionary, if Tommy Wiseau's face is not fucking right next to that word, then we need to overhaul all existing fucking dictionaries immediately. So that's definitely a good one. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Gone in 60 Seconds. I don't know if anyone considers that an actually good movie. I just love the fuck out of Gone in 60 Seconds. Like I just fucking love that movie.
I don't think it's bad enough that it's a guilty pleasure though.
Yeah, it's still that's like a mid tier. But Nicolas Cage movies in general. Let's say the last 10 years worth of Nicolas Cage movies before he got his career back because he finally paid off all the weird like pterodactyl bone, fucking like whatever the hell, bought a castle, situation that he got himself out of. I will watch anything that has Nicolas Cage in it at least once because he's just such a fucking crazy son of a bitch. I will do that. All right, let's get one more in here, and then we got some StarCraft to do. Let's see. I love these questions from Jackie because Jackie's just so serious. Bless you, Jackie. So I'm gonna ask the questions. There's two technically here. They're related. What is your outlook? And this is very, very poignant right now, given the temperature in the last 3 days. What are your outlooks on global warming? Are we doomed, or do you guys think we'll make it? And then, what are some things you think the Live TV community could do for the environment? I mean, so there's the really shitty part about this conversation, and we're not going to make a big long conversation of it, but the shitty part about this is that anytime you talk to anyone about this, kind of similar to the whole like situational disability thing, is that the way that it gets framed a lot of the time, people automatically sprint to both extreme ends of the answer because it's been so heavily politicized that now people just want to sprint to either side and not maybe understand that the reality, like many things in life, is it's somewhere in the fucking middle of all that crazy shit on both ends. Like, the world's not going to come to an end next Tuesday, but it's also probably not going in a direction that we should continue to go down if we can avoid at least backing off on the gas maybe a little bit. And I don't mean that literally per se. I just realized, no pun intended. So it's kind of like a shitty, it's a tough one to discuss. From that perspective, I don't know what is my outlook. We're not gonna burn up. Humans are, well, I shouldn't say that. Humans are really good. If anything, we're really good at adapting. That's like our best trait, and why we're still here, despite the fact that many of us are as smart as most paperweights. We're good at adapting, whether as a group or individually. And so, regardless of outcome, I think things are going to be fine. There are a lot of other things going on right now that are far more likely to wipe our shit off the face of the earth before global warming. There's a lot of other... War is far more likely to be the culprit than the fact that it was a record high in Texas or whatever the fuck the other day. Way more likely. Does that mean that we shouldn't care at least a little bit? Probably not. But the biggest problem is, and why, and we've talked about things like electric vehicles and whatnot, is a lot of the solutions being put forth are being put forth in unrealistic ways that are just political. And that is the problem. It's very little of it is based in any kind of actual reality. So even if you convince somebody, hey, we do have a bit of a problem here. We're not the only reason why the world is warming the way it is, but we're definitely accelerating it to some degree that we probably, if we could try to not do that as much, just because it will make our adaptation easier instead of having to be even faster about it. Even if you convince somebody of that, when you immediately follow up with the crazy shit that they do and the timelines and how they plan on doing it and who's paying for it, immediately becomes a problem, and you'll never win anyone else over at that point, because eventually they'll get fatigued of it, and it will only be the people willing to fight and die on that hill, tie themselves to a tree, that will be remaining. And that's kind of, I feel like, where we are now.
By the way.
Yeah, and I think that's where we are now, kind of, is that a lot of the people that are still, like, fighting for that extreme end are the people that are just, they're in it at that point for they're fighting for a cause, and that's the show. We'll be okay. We should probably do some shit. It's probably not try to go full electric by 2035, because we can't. That's physically fucking impossible for our infrastructure, and it would be super fucking dumb to try. Should we look for alternative fuel sources to put in existing vehicles? Probably. We're thankfully doing that. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Toyota for pumping the brakes on going full electric, because they are such a huge manufacturer of vehicles that if they pump the brakes, everyone else will also pump the brakes to some degree. But yeah, I mean, clearly we have some stuff to work on. What can most people do? I mean, like anything. I mean, the problem is that most individuals aren't doing that much on an individual level to dramatically exacerbate the problem. Are you opening every window in your house and then running the AC at the same time? Yeah, that might be dumb. For more than a couple reasons, chiefly your electric bill is going to be fucking salty. So that would be stupid. Are you driving 9 hours a day just for the sake of driving, and you're doing it in the dirtiest fucking vehicle you can get your hands on just to say fuck everyone? Yeah, that might be a bit excessive. Well, you're just doing it on a racetrack. You're not out there for like 9 hours blowing through like fucking... you're no worse than somebody that, for example, would be in Toronto trying to commute from outside the city, and it's a 3-hour trip, and they're idling in traffic on a daily basis. Most people aren't intentionally excessively fucking everything up around them. So when paper straws come around, people go, what the fuck are we doing? I'm watching Taylor Swift get into her private jet to fly 45 minutes across a single city, and you're coming after me for a straw. That's how you lose people. So do I have the answer to what we could all do? Just be as mindful as you can of what your own personal influence is. And then when somebody comes with these big sweeping things, just try to suss it out. But I mean, are we going to be, fucked? Like I said before, and I'll end it on this one for me anyway. We should pay attention, but we also have other things that are likely a bigger threat to us as a species right now than the temperature outside on a given Tuesday.
I mean, is global warming real? Yes, it is. Do I care? No, I don't. I care even more less when it's shoved into my face or somebody is arguing about what I or what we should be doing. Our carbon footprint is so small where we're at in comparison to other parts of the world. It's so incredibly small that it is, you can make the argument, well, that's a good thing, and you should continue to do that, and the other people need to smarten up. But it's at the point where, I'll be honest, I don't give a single solitary fuck. I will drive what I want to drive. I will keep whatever window open I want to keep. I will not think about the environment. I don't go around and throw shit out my car and litter to litter or be a dick. But I am not purchasing an electric vehicle because of the environment. Period. Never. If I want an electric vehicle, I'm doing it because I enjoy that vehicle, not because of the benefits of the environment. When I go and purchase a car or a truck or I fly or I do whatever, I don't have a private jet, I'm not concerned in the least about the environment. And that might trigger some people. Oh, you should be. What about your kids' kids or your kids' kids' kids? Just like what Adam said, humans are a very, very resourceful species, and we will make the adjustments needed if it ever came to a point where it's a problem. In fact, I hope the fucking world continues to get warmer so that it isn't cold piece of shit winters for 5 or 6 months where I'm from. It pisses me off even more. I think I'm even more jaded about it because it is literally a political piece for ways that governments can drain money out of everyday people and call it for the greater good of the earth. And they will, and instead of doing the things that need to be done to lower our carbon footprint, they'd rather just go and siphon more money out of people. And, hey, for those that want to go out there and you want to make it your mission to lessen your own personal, your family's carbon footprint, or you want to do good in the world, I don't look down on you. I think it's very admirable. I think, hey, whatever makes you happy. It's the same type of people that do philanthropy and go and help the homeless or do whatever it is, your part in making the world a better place, in your opinion. I will never dog people for that. In fact, if you can do that, you go ahead and do that if it means something to you. But when it comes to global warming and the carbon footprint and all this other polluting and, oh, you drive a truck and blah, fucking suck a dick. I fucking paid for it just like everybody else. I don't need you to lecture me. I don't need to be lectured. I understand what global warming is. I'm not one of these fucking idiots that are like, oh, it doesn't exist. It's fake. I understand. I get it. The earth is a big fucking place. And what I do, I'm going to be honest, is not affecting it in the least. It just isn't. And I know what people's arguments, well, collectively, if we all changed, it would make, yes, it would. But guess what? We all aren't doing that. We just aren't. And so I don't think about it. I don't care about it. It's actually one of those topics that irk me when people try and attack people over what they consume. At the end of the day, if Taylor Swift wants to go on her fucking private jet for 45 minutes across the city, by all means, you're paying the fucking $40,000 jet fuel bill or whatever it is. You go ahead and do that. You've earned that position. You go ahead and do that. Sure. When I see those things, those are the headlines. It's not even just Taylor Swift. It's a lot of celebrities. It's the president. President's in Air Force One, man. It's just fucking doing this. It's like, hey guys, welcome to the free world, man. You guys wanted to build these jets. Y'all wanted to do these things. You want to offer these things. These people are paying a large amount of money for it. Are you more upset the fact that they're rich as fuck and they're flying private for 45 minutes while you got to stand at the airport for 3 hours hoping the fuck that they don't fuck your flight up and you're there for 24, 48 hours and you're just salty as shit that they're billionaires and that they're flying around and the only rebuttal that you have is that it's fucking up the environment? Go fuck off. Go fuck off. That's just the way that I feel. You're just finding something to point the fucking fingers at. That's just it. If you're a billionaire, are you going to go fly fucking coach on Air Canada or on United? Really? You going to do that for the environment so you don't take your own jet? Fuck off. Maybe you will. Maybe you will. And if that's it, hey, by all means, I'm not dogging you for that. I'm never going to be like, oh, look at that billionaire and coach. Look at that guy or gal that's worth, $200 million flying on fucking United, first class. You pay $700 for that ticket? Cheapskate. Why don't you take a jet? I don't think that way. You spend your money how you want to spend your money, travel the way you want to travel, buy the things that you want to buy, and enjoy your life. You are here for a finite amount of time. Enjoy your life. That's the way I look at it. And you can agree with it or disagree. It's whatever. But that's just how I look at it.
It's a real fucking rat's nest, man. The fucking because people will say, like you were just mentioning, for example, in the early on of your point there, how collectively our carbon footprint, and when you say our, I'm assuming like let's say Canada, U.S., whatever, but Canada specifically. We're what 40, call it 40 million people on a giant landmass. And, so collectively, we're incapable of producing anything major.
We could be perfect. We could literally be
and it would,
scientifically.
It would mean nothing.
It would mean nothing. It would literally do nothing. The world is still going to get warmer. They're still going to tax you and fuck you. And if everything went in Canada, no gas is burned. None. The meter, it's a drop in the bucket. It's a literal piece of sand on an island that is being dropped down. So it's hard. It's hard for me. If the entire world got together, everybody was on board. It would
pretty much have to be at that point.
It would have to be, correct.
Yeah.
If the entire world got on board, I would have a different feeling about it. I honestly would.
Well, and to that point, a lot of the world, the Accord, there is a lot of the world that have agreed to targets. However, the problem is there are two countries that have the greatest impact on global environment or carbon production that are not really part of that and are not likely to just.
You're not going to control China, bro.
It's China and India. And in India, they have the two biggest populations on the planet. They produce by far the most because they are still technically, to some degree, both of them in many areas, in like their industrial era. Where over here and in other places, their industrial era has come and gone through. We went through a period where we were burning shit like crazy to build up industry and to advance the entire country over time. We already did that. So it's easy for the West to point at India or China or otherwise where it's a totally different circumstance and they weren't coming up at the same time and say, you're not allowed to do what we did just because you have more people and therefore it's got a greater impact. Like you have a bigger leverage on the environment than we did when we did our thing. That's completely unfair just because they came to the game later in these instances and then continue to they obviously don't give a fuck because they're trying to play catch up with the rest of the world all the same. And so for those two, as long as those two countries by themselves, India and China, don't join in any meaningful way, shy of what you're saying, which would never happen either, shy of us maximizing our carbon footprint, meaning doing everyone did the worst they could, which that won't happen either because not everyone's people aren't being an asshole. We're just living like an average existence in terms of how much impact we have. Even if we did that, I don't know if collectively it would match the output.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
So is it good that we're not exacerbating it further? Yes, but does that mean that we should be straining our economies or the middle class in our economies to try to hit this target that will, like you said, in the grand scheme of things, if our goal is this global change, are we going to really wring out the middle and lower classes in order to achieve this tiny fractional percentage, which is why it is so political and why this discussion becomes very moot in a lot of instances, because it's kind of a pointless discussion unless, like you said, and I agree, everyone was on board all at the same time. And until that happens, we're all...
No, then I don't care. Then I just don't care. It is not fair. If you were to go and ask anybody on this stream or listening, wherever you're listening to it, and you said, hey, how would you like to have $20, $30, $40, $50 a month taken out of your paycheck through taxes for environmental things? How would that make you feel instead of that $20, $30 going towards food on your table or heating your house or the essentials in your life? I think just about almost every single person will say they would prefer to put money into their family than put money into the government that say they're going to do X, Y, and Z with your money for the environment, when in reality, our carbon footprint is so incredibly small that, let's be real, this is just another way for them to balance their books and take more from the people. And if you don't get on board, well, then you're a piece of shit that doesn't like the environment. Go fuck yourself. How does that sound?
It's unfortunately here a lot more than $50 a month. It's more like $600 to $800 a month or more.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's too much.
At this point, if you're in one of the bigger cities, or you're in like Ontario, if you're like in Toronto, you're getting hit. Fucked. You're getting hit by like $1,400 or some shit.
You're getting wrecked.
It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Sure. On that happy note, time to go cast some StarCraft. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed the show this week. We're getting at a point where I've got to like be looking ahead at the 18. Okay, yeah, no, it should be fine. So, yeah, I mean, this full obviously with the wedding and stuff forthcoming and everything else between now and the end of August. Podcasts are going to be, we're going to find out when Thursday happens. And we'll see what's going on. But next week, I think, is going to probably be fine. So we'll probably see you next week. And I'm getting further and further off the screen. I'm sitting sideways. I'm seeing myself on the stream. I'm like 1/4 of my face is on camera at this point. But yeah, we will see you guys all next week. More StarCraft, as I just mentioned, on the way. And so until we see you guys next week, stay safe out there. Stay cool if you can, because if it's like here, my God. And until then, peace.
Peace.